in, that means you're feeling the vibe. The bell rung, you already been subscribed. Right now, the queen, she on live. Right now, please pull over the whip, no phoning when you drive. Dope Soul Sporting with the talk. First lady from New York, Brooklyn. All my people, you rocking with the chat. Hit that. That like button would tell me where you at. You know, step from the NBK. Born and raised up NBK. Hey, real lady, where she holding it down. No matter way how you feel, she gon' greet you with a smile.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
What?
Dope Soul.
What?
Your soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Salute, Knick family. Welcome to the channel, Dope Soul Sports Talk. Dope Soul Knicks Talk, a member of the NBK family. This is the Just Knickin' It Weekly Show. I'm your host, Stephanie, a.k.a. Queen, and we got a lot to talk about today. The Knicks are 12-8 on the season. We'll do our quarterly review. Grimes is sounding off, about his role in the offense. A few days before, Hart sounded off about his. Is Tom Thibodeau losing the locker room? We'll talk about that. We have to talk about the Milwaukee game. We have to talk about the Milwaukee game. And then Kenny Smith, TNT, shots fired, talking about when the Knicks take the floor, we have this second, sometimes third best player on the floor. Was that a slight toward Randle and Brunson, or was that a knock on the front office? So we're gonna get into it. We got Ajay, we got Geoff, we got Jay Boogie in the house. And shout out to Jerrell, who couldn't be with us today. He always shows up, so I look forward to him being back with us next week. How you guys doing?
Queen, we are good. It's always a pleasure to be here. I'm delighted. I feel like I haven't been here in like a month or a year or something. I don't know. I feel like it's been a while. Yeah, but no, I'm good. It's always good to be here, man. It's always good to be here. Shout out to Geoff, J Boog in the house in the chat. They're on fire already. The only thing, man, y'all hit the like button on the way in, man. On the way in tonight.
That's right.
Hit it right now.
Yeah, I even got a few slides tonight. We don't usually do slides on Thursday.
Some special tonight.
Doing that quarterly review. Geoff, how you doing?
I'm doing great. This is like reunion tour right here. We've been missing J Boog and Ajay for a minute. It's so good to have them back. It's like they never left. But I'm so glad they're here, and I'm ready to talk some Knicks. Let's go.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It does. I mean, we went Wednesday last week because of the women's show. So yeah, you're right. It's been a few minutes. Boogie, how you doing?
I'm doing blessed. Hope you all, Queen. Shout out to you, the greatest female host and a top-notch host, period. Not just gonna label just a female host. Shout out to the chat, the most loyal, respectful people, always around and never not around. Shout out to Ajay, man, and shout out to the captain, man. I missed your birthday, man. Happy physical, happy born day, man. And real quick, I just want to say thank you, Queen, and to anybody else that's inside your chat, all those that have been with me as far as my situation. I lost my brother, you know what I'm saying, right before Thanksgiving. I've been dealing with that right there, so I'm okay and I'm good, you know what I'm saying? I just needed to be around my family, you know what I'm saying? Be amongst my people, I always say, injuries do heal, and I'm in an injury healing process right now. And the only way for me to get healthy and strong is to be amongst my people, man. So that's what my brother needs me to do. So I'm here tonight. Let's get it on.
We appreciate you. And Boogie got another drop we'll be listening to later on today. You want to talk a little bit about it?
Oh yeah. Shout out to the great Monica McNutt. You know what I'm saying? She pulled up on me down in Atlanta. She was like, "Yo, Boogie, what's up, man? I thought we had a breaking news video and all that going." I was like, you know what? That song was a banger. So let me go ahead and throw it back in the washing machine, wash it up, you know what I'm saying, and come back and do a remix to it. So now we got the remix together. And it's perfect time for breaking news. So anything is breaking news, you know what I'm saying? Anything with the Knicks is breaking news, whether it's good, bad, but we all want some breaking news. So yeah, I got the breaking news remix out there, and it's on all platforms. platforms. I don't care if you're from Afghanistan. I don't care where you're. China is on all platforms.
Nice. Yeah, we'll take a listen to that tonight. Y'all remind me. Y'all know my condition. I got my notes right here, but that don't mean nothing. All right. Let's talk before we get into the season review. Let's just talk a little bit about the Milwaukee game. I think a lot of us, at least myself, had high hopes, for that game. The Knicks went in as the number one defensive team in terms of opponent points per game. We went in number 3 defensively in defensive rating. And listen, they were a good team, so I knew there was a chance we can lose the game. Never, nowhere did I think they was going to hang 146 points on the Knicks, and 75 in the first half. And we hung in there. We hit our free throws. We went to the line 18 times. We made 17 of them, which is not really our bag, but we did that, and we hung 72. But I said, man, in that second half, I don't know we're gonna be able to keep up. Like, that's just not, that's just not us. That's just not our game. And sure enough, our shooting. I don't know if I was shooting. I'm trying to remember. Did our shooting go south, or did they just start knocking down? It might have been a combination of both. But let's start with them. Like, I'm thinking we're a good team that just had a bad game. What's your thoughts on that game? We'll just go around with Ajay, Geoff, Boog, and then the next time, Boogie, you'll go first, and we'll bring it around.
Well, Queen, I mean, we are a good team because our record reflects that we're a good team. We're not terrible. We're above average, definitely, based on our records. But to say we had a bad game is an understatement. Okay? we just did not show up at all. Okay, and I think the first half we were able to keep in touch. I was thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? Muscle memory. These guys are ball players, so automatically they'll play ball. They'll keep up. You know what I'm saying? But at some point, the better team prevails, and Milwaukee was the better team. What was shocking to me is like it's like I was watching an all-star game. I mean, the score, it was all-star game scoring. It was just no defense. We were, by the time we got, even in the first half, we were scoring, but we were still discombobulated on defense. I mean, they were doing whatever they wanted to do. We were also doing whatever we wanted to do. But I guess at halftime, their coach was like, all right, okay, guys, this is not an all-star game. Let's put the clamps on. They didn't really put the clamps on, but we're not as great offensively as they are. So we obviously couldn't keep up. So the bad defense continued throughout the game on both sides, really, because they didn't play great defense either. But we just couldn't keep up with their scoring. Listen, it's just one game in a in season tournament. I'm not gonna make a judgment on that. You know what I'm saying? It's just one game. I expect us to be much better. I don't think we're gonna see another game like that this season. Okay, I mean, this is a team that takes pride in their defense. I mean, Tibbs, if there's one thing he could do is coach defense, right? So I don't expect to see another game like this for the rest of the season. But nevertheless, it was embarrassing because, and Quinn, I think I convey that to you over the text message. The basketball world was watching that one game.
Right.
And then for us to not show up and get embarrassed, it was like no sense of urgency. It was embarrassing, but you know what? It's not the determining factor this season. It doesn't change anything for the season. That we are still a good team. We're gonna end up with a plus record at the end.
Yeah.
And with an above average record. So
right.
Yeah, but it was a terrible game. It was a terrible game to watch. It wasn't, compared to all the other games in that tournament, that game was the worst game of, all these all these games in the playing tournament.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Geoff, your thoughts?
Well, I guess start being a little positive. We had came into this, I think, as a fan base. I know the folks that are in the chat and on the panel were kind of looking, well, maybe this is kind of like a preview of the playoffs. It's a chance to see what we look like with the stakes raised a little bit. And what I'm encouraged by is that Julius Randle played out of his mind. I mean, he was outstanding on offense. I mean, he missed one shot in the first half, if that. I think the guy was just brilliant. And it's a shame that we wasted, a 40 whatever point performance it was from him, because, he was phenomenal. And then, on the flip side, we have our big three, whatever you want to call them, with Barrett, Brunson, and Randle. And if we're going to beat a team like Milwaukee, we need really good performances from at least two of those guys.
Yep.
And then the other guys need to step up too. I mean, Mitch didn't have a good game.
Mm-hmm.
Quickly was persona non grata for most of the game. Grimes, is on the back of a milk carton right now. I know we're going to talk about that in a little bit.
Right.
I thought Hartenstein played well for the time that he got, but and DiVincenzo wasn't amazing last night or that in that game either. And Hart was okay. So, meanwhile, everybody who was on their bench came out and made 3 triples, it seemed like, and so all of their, and a lot, maybe that has to do with being at home. Role players tend to play better at home than they do on the road. But it really felt like for our young guys, especially, they kind of had that deer in headlights feel, pardon the pun, because we're playing the Bucks, but they really had that deer in headlights feel to it. It's similar to what we saw in the Miami series last year, actually. From that standpoint, I think that's probably the most disappointing thing that I saw, is that, and especially Quickly. I've said more times than I can count that I think Quickly's the 3rd best player on this team, and he did not show out at all in that game, and it was really reminiscent of his series against Miami. Now I know he didn't play the last couple games due to injury, but it was the same kind of performance on the games that he did play.
Correct.
And so for that to continue, and for a guy who's really integral to everything that we do, was really disappointing. But I mean, it's just one game, burn the tape and move on to the next one, I guess. I don't know, I don't know you can do too much when the opponent shoots 60% from the field. Our bad defense had something to do with that.
I was about to say, Geoff, they didn't just sit. We had something to do with it. I'll say this before we get the Boogie. Quickly lost money. You can argue that Quickly wasn't signed. I mean, maybe it would have happened anyway, but maybe it's possible that his play in the playoffs has something to do with the Knicks saying, you know what, I want a longer look before I sign this, sign him to an extension. I'm not betting against myself. We'll just go to restricted free agency. At least by then I'll know what I'm getting. Then, for those who believe that this was a playoff type atmosphere, and and there were some fans who said that this is a playoff type atmosphere. I'm gonna get a chance to see Julius. Let's see what he can do. Let's see what Quick can do. And Quick again, didn't have I don't know if he's costing himself even, some more money, but I'll say there's a long season. There's a long season for him to make up for it. Boogie, your thoughts on the Milwaukee game?
Yeah, this is the big time situation that was going on. This in-game tournament is really, really big time for a team to say I was the first, for a team organization to say we were the first, for the MVP to say I was the first. If you look around the floor of the game tonight, you'll see what was out there. This is real big, and the NBA had a lot of support and cash from players from before. But when it comes to the Knicks in Milwaukee, we all want this game because we all want us to get over that hump. We know the teams that's above us. It's Milwaukee. It's Boston. It's Philly. It's Cleveland. And Indiana's trying to make it where they got something to say, but you want to be able to beat these big dogs. You cannot move forward until you're able to go inside one of these hostile environments and knock somebody off in their own building. You know, they always say the playoffs don't start until you win on the next person's floor, and that's what was going on. We was on the next person's floor, and we did not show up. You know what I'm saying, all the way for the game. You know, sometimes when a game starts, you figure if a person or a team comes out shooting hot, you figure in the second half they'll cool off, or vice versa. If they come out and they're not shooting good in the first half, second half they'll come out on fire. But this team, Milwaukee, that for some reason they was on fire the whole game and just knocking down trades. In the first half, you know, we did good keeping up with only deuces against trades, but it's not going to be before so long before them trades pull away from the deuces. And that's what happened. They just got away. And I'm more upset about our defense because we're a defensive team. Sometimes when you can't stop somebody, you got to get to putting your body on them, touching them, feeling them, getting them off course. We wasn't doing anything. It's like we stopped playing basketball and started watching the game that we were playing inside of. But, you know, this is a growing pain that we have to learn from. But how many teams it is in the league? What, 32? Is it 32?
30.
30 teams in the league. So guess what? It was 22 outgoing tournament teams too that didn't play. So the Knicks did get there. Some of them other teams, they was home watching. So that's something to celebrate. And like Captain just finished saying, you had something to celebrate about with Julius. This was really big for us, Julius, and us getting a vision on seeing what can happen amongst big time situations. And Julius answered the bell. Yeah, he ain't missed now bucket. He went 9 for 9 from the field. He went 6 for 6 for the free throw line. He was on his game. He was giving Giannis the business. I love when you hit him with that shoulder, almost put him to the first row. That let I'm here to play, big fella, and I'm just coming off player of the week. So that, you know what I'm saying, that was good. You hate to lose that game, but probably only 2 teams would have beat us, you know what I'm saying? And both of them played against one another tonight. Indiana and Milwaukee, the 2 highest scoring teams it is in the league. So, you know, you got to be able to get buckets inside situations. And if you can't get buckets and you can't get stops, you're in for a long, long night. And that's what happened with us. They ran away from us in the second half. They separated from us, you know what I'm saying? So now we got to go back to the drawing board and figure out a little bit something else what we need to do. But I'm okay and I'm satisfied with the team, you know what I'm saying? They got there when a lot of people thought we wouldn't get there. A lot of people sitting on the edge of the game looking to see if we're going to score enough, you know, points to get in. And we handled that right there. That was a big time moment to make sure you score enough points to get in. So it's a lot of things that the Knicks is doing, you know what I'm saying, is getting over the hump. But, you know, we got to get away from the part where it's when something don't go right our way or we don't win something like it was all bad. It's not all bad what happened against Milwaukee, and even though we want to win. But we really lost to a better team, you know what I'm saying? And on their floor, they held down the floor, down on their home floor. But we will be back. I always say, like I say, you know, injuries do heal. This is an injury that's going to heal, man. Shout out to the Knicks, man, and shout out to the Indiana Pacers, what they doing. Oh my Lord. I'm scared of them more than Philly, Cleveland, and all these other teams. God almighty.
I mean, for those, and this is to the chat, and I don't know, maybe there was, you know, members of this panel too. Did you see this as a playoff type atmosphere, and were you also looking to see if Julius Randle would respond? For me, not necessarily so. I just think the playoffs are the playoffs. But there was some, you know, fans who were thinking that way. Were you thinking that way? Anybody on this panel that this was a playoff type situation and it would be an opportunity to see how Randle responded?
Well, I guess we're going back in reverse. I was looking for the whole situation. I needed to see Julius respond. That was me. I need to see this situation. The big time moment. I just said it. On the road in somebody else's crib, you know, not coming off a so good, you know, beginning of the season, but now I'm starting to find my vibe, finding my groove. Okay, let me see if my groove can continue on in a big game against a big time player. And it did. And I was happy for that right there. But as far as, you know, a playoff atmosphere, yeah, it was real serious out there. It was one game elimination. You know, this is like NBA, NCAA tournament, one game elimination. You know what I'm saying? And that's all it took. So, you know, to me, you know, that was really big. I think early in the season, I mentioned about this tournament, right? This tournament is going to let us know, you know, who's riding and what we need to do to make a change. And it showed that the other night. This was a stepping situation to find out if you can't handle this situation right here in a smaller version of the NBA trophy, you're not going to be able to handle going for the big trophy. So I look for changes to do happen. I look for that seriously.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, I wasn't not necessarily Julius Randle in a playoff type atmosphere, but because it's the beginning of the season and a lot of our players, they ain't right yet. So I was looking for these guys to step it up and get right because you know it's a bigger stage. It's not the regular season every night game. I mean, this is a bigger stage. So you not just Randle, but everybody else. You know, I wanted to see RJ do what he was doing at the beginning of the season. I wanted to see Josh Hart do what he was doing last year when he first came on. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to see everybody step it up. But, you know, as you guys don't know, you know, Julius Randle had a great game. Brunson was okay. And you know, I mean, a lot of guys didn't step up to the plate, you know, under the bright light. So it wasn't just Julius Randle. It was just everybody else. It was a good chance to get right, to show that we belong on that stage, and we didn't do that. So,
okay, Geoff.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I looked at it as a playoff situation because I was never a fan of the in-season tournament. So I mean, it was kind of cool that the Knicks were there, but kind of was more harm than good with what it did to our schedule. You know, we lost a home game out of the deal, and we get games against Boston and Milwaukee. Congratulations, you made the final 8. They've got to figure out a way to fix that. That doesn't seem like something seems wrong with that picture to me. But so from that standpoint, I just want to see Julius continue to play well, and I think for him to have that kind of a game against Giannis is big. Like, you know, because I want to see him step up again. A lot of times I feel like he, in those one-on-one matchups, he gets so like in his own head and about trying to outdo the other person that he doesn't play well. You know, and that wasn't the case in that game. He took the challenge. He took it on. He was excellent. I mean, he looked like an all NBA player on the offensive side of the floor. I mean, he was just phenomenal. I as one of the better scoring performances I've seen in a Knicks uniform from anybody. So from that standpoint, you know, I was happy to see that. But you know, it's not the playoffs. I'll just say that it's a different animal.
Yeah, it's not. I think what I appreciated about Randle, even more than the points, and I actually don't like when players get hot and go 10 for 10, because I like to see them go like 6 for 8, play regular, because you know, to me that just says you got hot. You know,
it's not sustainable,
right? But what I liked about Randle was how he got his shots. He was so efficient. And I'm not talking about in terms of field goal percentage, just in terms of no wasted movements. He got to his spots, boom, pulled up. I love that fadeaway, how he creates. I wish he would take that more, where he creates the space and just takes a nice little, just keep it easy and keep it simple. And I thought that's what he did against, against Giannis. He had a few very good defensive possessions. Now, look, and I know some may disagree. You can't expect Brunson and Randle to be defensive hounds on every single possession because of the offensive load that they carry. Don't be a turnstile now, but you can't expect them to be a lockdown defender on every possession because offensively, they're carrying a lot. As good a defensive player as Kobe Bryant was, may he rest in peace, he wasn't that on every single possession. However, when they needed a stop to get back in the game or to hold on to their lead in the closing moments of the game, he would take the best player. Like he knew when it was time to lock down. And I think that's what we need, from Randle. Now, sometimes this Olay just letting people go to I'm not going to understand that. To me, that doesn't have anything to do with your offensive load. I'm not going to ever get with that. But overall, I mean, these guys are carrying, they're carrying a lot. So, kudos to Randle for the game he's played. And I thought Brunson was okay, but he was 0 for 5 from I just felt like those types of teams, Milwaukee, Boston, we don't have the super duper stars. So all hands on deck. And between Randle, RJ, Brunson, if you even want to throw quickly in there, 2 of them got to play above their usual level. At least 2 of them have to play above their usual level. And the rest of them have to be in support. We talk about this all the time. Oh, we're a deep team. I like this team because even though we're not top heavy, we deep. We can get something. But then when the games come and you're not getting what you're getting from this deep team and you're not top heavy, makes it difficult. Makes it difficult to win. So, we get another opportunity Friday in Boston. It's another game. All hands on deck. All hands on deck Friday.
Queen, let me ask you about that game. But before I ask, I see the number of viewers going up, but we're stuck at 26 likes. So, I mean, we're like at 70 people watching right now, only 26 likes, man. Like, come on, let's hit the like button. Come on, encourage the crew here. We're putting on a good show for y'all. I have a question. So that game Friday, it's not on the regular schedule. So that's what does that do in terms of, I know it counts towards the record for the regular season, but does that have anything to do with the in season? Is that just one extra game we play for the hell of it, or how does that work? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think the same thing is happening on the West, right? The losers, the 2 teams that lost play each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do we play here for? I mean, I don't understand the point of it. That's I was asking because I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't understand. Is that the extra game that brings us to 83?
If ain't that, does that bring us to 84? Because we basically played 2 more. I don't know. I don't know.
No. They remember the Knicks not made the 20. Remember, there was a week of no games that they were going to schedule in and kind of put in. So I think it still winds up at 82 unless you make it to the championship.
That's it. So what happens is everybody is getting 2 games this week. Whether even if you didn't make the tournament, you played a couple games this week, and so they're just kind of like the scheduled games, So it turns out that we're having to play in Boston, so we're actually losing a home game out of this, is my understanding. Right. But which is kind of crummy. But
because
the only team that plays 83 games is the teams Indiana and whoever they play, whether it be the Lakers or New Orleans. Those would be the ones that play 83, as far as I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's weird to me because that Boston game is not on the schedule. Like if you look at the schedule, the published schedule at the beginning of the season, that game is not on there.
But there was a lot of games on the schedule.
I'm sorry. What'd you say, Jeff?
They didn't know who it was going to be against. That's why we're playing Boston, because we both made the semifinals. I mean, the quarterfinals rather. And so the losers in that round we're always going to play each other.
Well, right. I get that. But what I'm saying, so other teams who didn't make the tournament, how does that balance out? Because now
everybody's schedule was 2 games, 1 or 2 games lighter coming in. Remember when we went through the schedule? It wasn't 82 games. I think it was just 80 or maybe 81 games just for this. The NBA knew that they were going to add a game once everything got, settled with who was going to be in the tournament. So that's why it wasn't 82 games from the beginning.
All right. So the other teams at some point they're gonna add a game to the other
They
teams.
did for
Oh,
this
they
week.
did.
For this week, yeah.
Oh, okay. Good. All right. Because I don't know their schedule. All right.
Like
Yeah.
Philly played Washington, I think, and
Mhm.
there was a bunch of them. But yeah,
Yeah,
San Antonio played Minnesota, I think.
yeah.
Yes,
They didn't know who they were gonna play.
Okay.
Actually, let me get to the chat. There's some interesting comments in the chat. Then I want to move on to the season review. Sherwin wants to know. This is random. I'll leave this for the panel. Who's the better player, IQ or Cole Anthony? Both of them are in the running early on for sixth man of the year. And in terms of both, I think are the leading scorers off the bench. I think Cole Anthony is the number one scorer off the bench, and Quentin Grimes. I mean, excuse me, IQ is second. Knicks are nice, CAA affiliate. Anybody saying we need to stay with this same team wants to lose. We'll talk about that when we get to the season review, and the chat could start thinking about it. Are you still team stand pat or team make a move? Remember that was a big thing coming into the season. Senga, Waldron, it seems like other franchises have rebuilt their rosters twice before we can even decide what we have. We got to do better. Okay. And Knicks are nice again. The fans amped this roster. What's up, Freezy? Appreciate you. I think, before season starts, you never know. You don't know if people are gonna make a leap. If players are gonna regress, if the chemistry is gonna click, and you got you don't know. All right.
and we really still don't know. It's only been 20 games. There's
It's
been
only been
plenty of
20 games.
cases where teams play really well for 20 games and then they fall off the edge of the earth because of injuries or what have you. So I mean that goes for us as well as everybody else. It's just hard to believe it's a quarter of the season, but it's just a quarter of the season.
Right. No doubt about it. All right. Let's talk about the season thus far. To your point, Geoff, to the chat and the panel, it's only 20 games. Right. So we're just reviewing the first quarter of the season. So I guess my question is, how would you assess the season thus far? What has stood out for you, player wise, team wise? Any surprises, any disappointments? And again, I know it's only been 20 games. Ajay, then Boogie, then Geoff.
Well, you packed a lot in that question, Queen.
No, you can take whichever angle you want.
Okay, so
Take whatever angle you want. Yeah.
listen, the team, the team's doing okay. Like I said, our record indicate that we're a little bit above average team, right? We don't suck. Okay, and I don't care what anybody says. We play bad teams. There's no such thing. You're in the NBA. The NBA is a professional league. It's full of talented players. Okay, because on any given night you could lose to any team. Okay, so you have to stay up. You have to be ready to play, and you have to play whatever team they put in front of you, right? So having said that, our record indicate that we're a good team. So we are a good team. I'm a little bit surprised. There's a few good surprises and a few bad, a few good things and a few bad things. I guess the good things is I see the progression. Like at the beginning of the season, Julius Randle, he came out the gate stumbling out the gate, but he's starting to get better. He's starting to get into Julius Randle form, into not quite all NBA Julius Randle consistently, but at least we've seen that he's starting to get in that shape, in that form, So I'm pretty confident at some point in the season we're gonna see the Julius Randle, that the all NBA Julius Randle that we've seen the past couple of seasons. Of course, the other pleasant surprise is that Jalen Brunson was not a fluke. I mean, that guy's a stud. Like, we can count on him. We got one. We got a point guard, so we're good at that position. Okay. RJ Barrett started the season, well. injuries. So I don't know. I mean, we still. I remember a couple of shows back, Queen asked, if you're holding or buying or selling an RJ Barrett, and I said I'm holding because I've seen RJ Barrett have stretches of 20 great games and then he falls off. Okay, so that's not to say that he's not going to be good or I'm predicting what's good. I'm just saying I want to wait and see what happens with RJ Barrett. Can he keep this consistently? And it's only been the first quarter of the season. There's still time for him to get back to that what he was at the beginning of the season. So I'm not calling the season. I'm not going to say RJ went back to last year's RJ or anything like that. But I do think that he's gonna, there's gonna be some sort of progression this year because we see it. He's more comfortable on the court. He's making a lot of heads up play, that stuff he wasn't making, in the past few seasons, since he's been in the league. My biggest disappointment, of course, it has been Quentin Grimes. And we had several conversations. I know we're going to talk about Quentin Grimes later on in the show, but we've had several conversations over the summer where I was, and I remember very clearly saying there are two players I expect is going to have a month, like they're going to take a leap this year, is Emmanuel Quickly and Quentin Grimes. And so far that hasn't materialized. Emmanuel Quickly hasn't been terrible, but you can't call that a leap. He's just been, regular IQ. With some games he disappears. But Quentin Grimes has been a disappointment so far this season. I don't expect it to stay this way because I know the kid can play, and I do expect him to turn this around at some point, during the season. But overall, listen, I think it's a good start to the season. None of us here thought, this team was going to be a top 2, 3. Well, we thought top 3 seeded. And you know what? It's early. That's not impossible. That's not an impossible feat. So let's see, how the rest of the season progress, and then, let's see how we can get better. Right now, I feel. Another pleasant surprise. I know it doesn't materialize every game, but Dante DiVincenzo. You see, there is something there. If this guy when he gets comfortable, when he gets in his mode, like when he's really comfortable with this team, he finds his fit, he finds his place on this team, he's gonna be super helpful. So that was a great addition to this team. And let's see where we go. Let's see where we go from here.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, we'll talk about Grimes, a bit more later on. Boogie, your thoughts on the season so far? Any surprises, appointments? Anything stood out for you?
I think we just barely held on right now as far as the beginning of the season. We had a tough schedule going on, but right now, in my mind frame, I seen what I needed to see, and all the way up into this tournament. When you're a ball player, no matter what. See, if we came into the season this year saying we need to get to the Eastern Conference Final, we already said we some losers. You need to be in championship mode or bust. That's how you need to carry it. You need to. The goal is June. The goal is not April. Kobe, like you said, rest in peace to him earlier. Shout out to Kobe again. Kobe, you say, I don't care about MVP in April. I care about the one in June. You need to start looking and thinking ahead and start planning and figuring out how can we get there. That's where I'm at. Now, whether the team is on that level, I don't know, and it's not showing up. But I'm in championship mode. And if we're not heading towards a championship, then to me it's a failure. Are we getting closer to Cleveland because we beat Cleveland last year? Are we getting closer to Philly? Are we getting closer to Milwaukee? I ain't even gonna say Milwaukee and Boston, but those two teams, are we getting closer to Philly and Cleveland, or is Indiana and Orlando getting closer to us? That's what I'm looking at. Them teams is coming. And we're just standing right here, staying right here, packed in the middle. You know what I'm saying? Something has got to be looked upon at this roster right here, right now, after coming out of this tournament to move this thing forward. If you're not looking to better this roster, to know that you got to have something else going on to play against these elite teams, then I don't think you need to be here. And I already been saying that in the offices, they don't have a contract. The coaching staff, they don't have a contract. You got players looking for a contract. So who is going to make the move to where you're going to get a new contract? And right now, what we're doing right now, we're standing still right here, being stuck right here in the middle between Cleveland, Indiana, and Orlando. Even though they got better records than us, but far as coming into the season, we're supposed to be in front of these teams, and we're not at this moment. So I'm disappointed at that situation, even though we had a tough schedule, but we all play the same teams. Our same division play the same division. Conference play the same conference, man. You play the same team. You play to win the game. What are you going to do when you suit up? So right now, I'm not going to get into the other topic about the other guys. I'm going to wait till you to bring it up. But right now, I'm kind of like stagnated right now because my mind frame is, what do we get ready to do? I need to know, what do we get ready to do? Because another season just to be here, and no, we all work too hard and do too much just to be stagnant. I want more. I'm greedy right now. I want my greediness. I need that. I need that for the squad. And I know I ain't the only one, but something got to be done, after coming off this game right here. You got to the trade deadline. I need that breaking news.
Right. But Boogie, we talked about this in the offseason.
Yeah.
Like we talked about this in the offseason. All right, the Knicks were 2 games from the Eastern Conference Finals. And you can argue that had we not matched up with Cleveland, maybe not, we make it to the second round. But a lot of us you need to upgrade this team. And there was a lot of the fan base who was, we need to stand pat. We need to let this group marinate. But you see the other teams getting better and making even championship teams over the summer will make moves to get better to make sure they stay relevant. Now,
I won't cut you up, but I'm gonna raise my hand because I'm one of those ones too. I remember me saying right here on the show that Boston has really not gotten no better. They don't lost their defensive strength and all that right there. Philly though, they in the crazy mode. They don't know what's going on with James Harden and all that right there. They really wanted James to get up out of there so Nurse can go get on Van Fleet. Fleet was really supposed to be getting to Philly. I'm one of the ones that like, we got a chance to move up because the other teams are struggling. But after seeing what we're seeing right now, hey, I'm throwing that out the window.
Yeah. I mean, Orlando, we've talked about this. I don't know if it was after Christmas, after the All-Star break, after whatever it is, after something, they were a 500 team the rest of the way. So you knew they were coming. Indiana it was early though, when they were like top, 6th in the league before Haliburton went out. Did I expect them to be this? No, I did not. But I knew that they would, that they would be in the mix. So sometimes staying pat is the same as going backwards if others are improving. You know what I mean? And so you can't cry over, spilt milk, but let's see. Let's see what happens. Geoff?
Well, I think we need to remember too that progression is not always linear, right? We want it to be. You want to say, well, we made the second round last year, so we're going to make the finals, Eastern Conference Finals this year, and then we're going to jump to the NBA Finals next year.
Right.
That's what we want as fans, but that's not always how progress works, and so I'm actually encouraged. I think we're 12-8. I don't think we've played our best ball yet. I think a lot of what we do is sustainable. I don't think it's just like we're shooting, lights out, and that's the only reason we're winning. I think we're improved defensively from where we were last year. I think we're a better 3-point shooting team than we were last year. Those were 2 of the weaknesses for the team last year. So. And I think our best ball is ahead of us. Julius Randle is just getting to the point where he was at last year. Brunson didn't have a great game against Milwaukee, but he's playing some of the best ball I've ever seen him play. and DiVincenzo was starting to get more comfortable. He really looks like he's gonna take Grimes' spot at this point, eventually. And I was one of the ones who didn't ever imagine that coming. And I guess, Ajay, you were saying you expected Grimes to take a leap. You just didn't think it was off the Empire State Building.
Right.
I'm kidding, of course. I do like Grimes, but Quickly's been good in less minutes. So I think there's a lot to be encouraged about. And I think that this next stretch of games is going to teach us a lot about this team, about taking the next step, about how we react to difficult schedules and everything like that. Because it's interesting, because the first 14 games or so were difficult. And Queen, I think you said this on your podcast, and big ups to you for such an astute observation. But the first 14 games were kind of difficult because we had a bunch of second game of back-to-back and just like 7 games and 9 nights or whatever it was. We had a lot of, they like crammed stuff in on us. And that was the challenge more so than the competition we were playing on a nightly basis. Now the challenge is the competition's getting better. And, we do have the West Coast trip, which is never easy, but, for the most part, I think it's a different kind of a challenge, but that's what the NBA season is. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And you've got to go through the crucible, right? If you want the gold, you got to put it in the fire and refine it, right? You got to burn off all that dross, right? And so I think we're in the refining process, and sometimes refinery isn't always pretty, right? Sometimes those struggles, that heat gets you and it burns you, right? And so I think that we certainly felt that in the Milwaukee game the other night, but I'm really interested to see how they respond, especially defensively, against a Boston team that has really given us the business so far this year. But one of the things that I'm concerned with is that it seems like these teams that have the mobile centers, the stretch fives, are really giving Mitchell Robinson trouble right now. And so I'm not sure if that's schematic or, problem with Robinson, maybe a little bit of both. But as far as things that I'm concerned about, that really is the glaring one to me. It seems like every time we have to play a really good stretch five, Robinson hasn't come through with the big game yet. And that's going to be something he's going to have to fix, because, his defensive impact is integral to what we do as a team. And I'm not saying that, I think that Isaiah Hartenstein is probably the best backup 5 in the league. So he can mitigate some of those things, but he's a backup 5. We need Mitchell Robinson to play like a starting 5, like an impactful starting 5. And he's done a lot of great things this year. With his stocks are up, I think, even though his block shots are down. And in a lot of the games, I've loved his defensive impact. It wasn't yesterday, I guess, but the Bucks game, he was invisible. He was absolutely invisible. Now, he wasn't the only one who was invisible. Other than Julius Randle, pretty much the whole team was invisible. And, Brunson going 0 for 5 from 3 didn't help our cause, and he was slow and late on rotations. I saw some of the replays of that stuff where he wasn't getting back to his man. He wasn't closing out properly. And again, not the only one doing those things, but, these things are symptomatic, right? These are just the things that have to get cleaned up. But you know what? It's only been 20 games. We have plenty of time to work on those issues, to progress through those things. And, I kind of agree with Jay Boogie, though. I think we always need to be looking to upgrade this roster, because it just seems to me, and I know it sounds like I'm picking on Barrett, and I'm not, because when Randle was the one struggling, Barrett was the one who was shining. But it just seems that we never get good Randle and good Barrett at the same time. We never get them at the same time. And the only thing I can think of is they just don't fit together that well. And that, to me, that says that you can that you pick one, to pair with. They both play well with Brunson, so it's not that. It's just that I think when it comes down to it, and you've said this, I've said this, Boogie said this, we need an upgrade at the shooting guard spot. We desperately need an upgrade at the shooting guard spot, and or at the 3 spot, and maybe move RJ to the 2. However you want to argue it, we need another wing, and we need an upgrade at that spot. And until we do, I don't think we're going to be able to make the jump that Jay Boogie wants us to make, that he talked about, and rightfully so. Look, professional sports is about winning championships. It's not, that's what New York fans are starved for. I mean, we haven't, I'm 48 years old. I haven't seen the Knicks win a championship my entire life. So I'm ready. I'm beyond ready. So let's figure out what moves we need to do. And to be honest, Leon Rose was brought here to bring in those kinds of players. Like it was his relationships that were supposed to be the difference in getting one of those big time players to New York. And I'll say this, he brought Brunson, so he did get one, but the job's not finished. You can't just paint one side of the house. You got to paint the whole house.
For sure. I want to get into I'm going to check in with the chat, but I want to get into the wins. We've talked a lot today about the wins the Knicks have, and I know Ajay said it doesn't matter. Obviously, you have to play who's on your schedule, but we've beat Atlanta twice, Cleveland, the Clippers, San Antonio, Charlotte 3 times, Washington, Detroit, and Toronto. Lost to Boston twice, New Orleans, Cleveland, Milwaukee twice, Minnesota, and Phoenix. Now, if I remember this correctly, and somebody check me if I'm wrong, the Knicks are 2-8 versus teams who are, as of Wednesday, in playoff position. And I don't know when they said playoff position, because I didn't get a chance to check. Did they mean 1 through 8 or 1 through 6? And the Knicks are 10-0 against teams who are not in playoff position. Again, somebody check me if I'm wrong. Listen, I agree. You can only play the teams that are on your schedule, but I think it's really hard to find out who you are as a team when you haven't played a lot of tough teams, or when you've lost against the tougher teams. So we go on this. We play Toronto. We play Boston Friday. We play Toronto Monday. Then we go on this 5-game road trip. 4 of them are on the West Coast: Utah, the Clippers, the Lakers, and there's one more. If somebody, there's one more. Then we come back and play Brooklyn. Then we play Milwaukee back-to-back, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Then we close out the month with OKC, Orlando, and Indiana. Those are tough teams. That's a tough schedule right there. And the thing about it is, when you look at our defensive rating, when you're playing a lot of teams who aren't really good, maybe your defense looks better than it really is. I think we're a good defensive team. Not great, but I do think we're a good defensive team. But it's possible that because of the teams that we've played, our defense is a little overrated right now. Maybe. We'll see. But by the end of December, we're going to know who these Knicks Knick players are. Who this team is, I should say. But to answer the question myself, I'm glad that Brunson is Brunson, because there are players who have good playoff series. And that doesn't mean that they were really, they just had a good playoff series. And so it was just good to see him come back and play the way he's playing. It's good to see Julius Randle rounding into shape, even though when we look at his splits, his shooting percentage, it's down. His field goal percentage is down. His 3-point percentage is down. His free throw shooting, is down. But it's good to see him rounding into shape. Grimes, and we'll talk about him. Like, yeah, like whatever. I think the Knicks have enough 6'5" guards that they can put into that position for now. But I agree, if the Knicks are going to be a championship contending team, that shooting guard position has to be upgraded, and the answer is not on this roster. It's just not. I mean, you may go to DiVincenzo, who I'm an advocate of. That's a stopgap. But I think it holds some potential, for this particular season. But if you're talking about being a championship contender, let's face it, you got to get older. When you think about being a championship contending team, how many of these players are going to be on that team? 3, 4, maybe. You know what I mean? So yeah. So that's where I'm at. So I'm just enjoying the team for what it is. I don't have high hopes about this being, now obviously anything can happen. You can go on a run and roll right into to the finals. But I'm just enjoying this team, for what it is. I don't see the Knicks getting to the Eastern Conference Final. Can anything happen? Yes. But on paper, that's just not. I don't think the Knicks are better than Milwaukee. I don't think the Knicks are better than Boston. And in order to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, you're going to have to go through probably one of those teams. So I want to reserve judgment in terms of who this team is until January 1st. I need to see these games in December. That's going to give me a better sense of the team that we have right now. We're 12-8. I think that's great, but yeah, I don't think we've been challenged, and the teams that we've been challenged by, we haven't won. So, yeah. So we'll see. Anything else before we get into? From what you've seen so far, it's kind of early though. Has this first 20 games changed where you think how many games the Knicks will win? Has it changed your prediction, I should say, of how many games you think the Knicks can win? Has it changed your prediction on how far the Knicks can get, where their seeding will be? Has anything changed from these first 20 games?
Not for me. I honestly think that we're in a good place as far as all that's concerned. It was a good start. We were 10-13 in our first 23 games last year, so we're definitely going to be better than that, regardless of how these next 3 games go. We'll get a couple wins, hopefully, but from that standpoint, I still think this team is more than capable of winning 50 games. I don't think we've seen the best basketball from this team. And I also don't think we're a championship contender, but I don't think there was anybody who really thought that we were.
Right.
I mean, Freezy said 60 wins, I know, but I always thought that was more hyperbole than it was anything, but I guess I'm not going to speak for him. But for the most part, I don't think a lot of the Knicks fan base was like, this is the team that's going to bring home the prize. I think it's, let's keep getting better. Let's see what we have. And we do need to see what we have. We need to make a decision on Quentin Grimes. We need to make a decision on Emmanuel quickly. These are pieces, hopefully, that you're going to be either they're going to be here because they're good enough to take us to the next level, or they're going to be moved to bring in someone who can take us to the next level. So,
right.
So you definitely need to see them play well and perform and do those sorts of things. And,
right.
And so I wouldn't say that there's anything that I've seen that said our ceiling is higher than I thought it would be. But I still think that this team can win 50 games.
Okay, cool. Boogie, and then Ajay real quick, and then I want to get to the to the chat.
I'm still on like 45 games, and the way I'm looking at it right now, it better not be nothing less than that. We can't fall shorter than what we did last year. We can't. And
even though the conference is better,
we're better in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? Chemistry is supposed to be better. Brunson's supposed to have more leadership of the team. RJ, okay, you got your contract. It's time to start playing for a new contract. Quickly, you need a contract. Grimes, you did all this working out with JJ Redick and all this. You know what I'm saying? Mitch is better. You know, Hartenstein, we're better. But you cannot be worse than, we cannot fall short from last year. That's all I'm saying. Because that's not going to sit right with the owner, and it ain't going to sit right with the fans. Definitely the fans first. It's not. So, I mean, we can try to, play into January or the next 10, 15, these games right here coming up. We got to handle our business. If we don't, it can be over quickly. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be looking all the way up to a lot of teams and chasing them and then burn yourself all the way out when you get towards the end and you ain't got nothing in your tank left. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm like, right now, I see what I need to see. Right now, I'm on phone calls trying to see what's available, what can be. I'm plugging something in somewhere, preparing. Not sitting around waiting on these jokers. I'm not waiting around for no more development. I'm not sitting around waiting for these guys to talk to the media and stuff. Like, it ain't their fault and stuff like that. Nah, man. Nah. Leon, you need to do something. You need to get this team heading in the right direction. Or, like I said, you ain't got a contract. Right. It's a dude over there calling them games now. He's just chilling, taking 1 year off. He's chilling. He's taking 1 year off, but he's looking for a job. But he wants a big job. You know what I'm saying? It's some good money. Somebody, the guy that came out of Golden State.
Bob Myers, I believe his name is.
Talking about him? Yeah. Get right. Ain't no more favoritism. Ain't no more, that's my man, and friends, and we dapping all that. Nah, New York is on the chest. The names is on the back. I don't care nothing about them names back there right now. I mean, I don't want to wait no further along. Dudes have shown me what in this small thing, 1 game elimination, dudes have showed me what they might not be able to do in the real thing. They showed it. They showed. I don't see it. Oh, by the way, Josh Hart had a pretty good game too.
He did.
I looked at his. I think he had a pretty good game. I think he knocked out some trades. He did what he did some things. He's a
role player. He played his role.
He played his role. So I can't be mad about what
did too.
Huh?
Hartenstein did as well in his 17 minutes.
But it's a lot, like I said earlier, it's a lot of people ain't even coming to the building. I don't even know where they was at. I don't know where they went. They got them.
It's in the tour of the Milwaukee Brewery, I guess.
Say that again?
I said they took a tour of the Milwaukee breweries before the game, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and the elephant in the room, and Ajay, we could talk about this after you finish, is Emmanuel Quickly. The elephant in the room is Emmanuel Quickly. Go ahead, Ajay.
I was gonna say, so I think you just mentioned that, Queen. My biggest concern in terms of like where the team ends up, like in terms of what we predicted in the beginning of the season and all that stuff, the conference has gotten better. There are a couple of teams that we didn't see, like nobody, like in all our predictions, we didn't see the Pacers and the Orlando. We knew Orlando was going to get better, but we didn't think they was going to be better than the Knicks at this point or at any point of the season. I mean, right now when you look at the standings, Orlando's up there. You know what I'm saying? And Indiana, I don't think they have a better record than we do, but they
They had the
might
same record.
same record, right? And but then they're gaining momentum. You know what I'm saying? When it's almost like we're deflating, we're losing, we're slowing down a little bit. But we didn't see those teams, and we still, you still got the Miami Heat, right there in the rearview mirror. You still got the Cleveland Cavaliers, at any point could turn it on. So it could be pretty jammed up at the end of the season, in terms of like 6 spots. It might be really tough to get in one of the 6 spots, man. So that's my biggest worry. Not that our team per se, but that the other teams has gotten so much. A couple of other teams gotten so much better. Even Queen, even Miami. Miami's playing with guys they pick. Like you always say that.
Orlando Robinson, who was their draft pick for like 2 years ago.
Yeah. It's like they go to South Beach, they see some guy on the corner. Hey, you want to play ball? And they put him on the NBA court, and then he's playing well. Like, who are these guys?
Yeah.
But so
I will say this though, and then I'll get to the chat. We got a super chat. Shout out to you, Paris. Dugga. To agree with Jay Boogie. The reason why if we can't beat those teams, not Toronto, Orlando and Indiana, it's because the players on our team haven't stepped up their game. We talk about our depth all the time. All the time. So if Randle is playing up to his potential, Brunson, Quick, Grimes, Josh Hart, Mitchell Robinson, Hartenstein, the Knicks shouldn't have a problem. But the problem is they're not playing up to their potential, at least in the Milwaukee game. And there's been games, throughout the season where a few players haven't played up to their potential. They're just rounding into shape. And then you have to ask yourself, is part of that the fact that they're just young? And we're looking for them to be consistent, and we're looking for them to be players we can count on game in and game out when they're just not there yet because they've been in the league for 3 years or 4 years. And I'm not talking about Barrett. I'm talking about Quick and Grimes. And maybe we're expecting too much out of our role players, DiVincenzo and Josh Hart. Like we're all into our depth, but the depth aren't consistent. Our depth players are not consistent players. So we may have to trade in some of that depth for some top heavy players that for them if they're stars or superstars, going to show up for you every night. Easier said than done, right? In terms of availability. But all right, let me get into the chat. Julius Caesar, appreciate you. After 20 games, this team is still on pace to win 48, 50 games. We are a good team that's currently constructed, but don't expect to be making any real noise in the postseason as is. Yeah, I said that. We were built for the regular season. Louisiana Knicks, we are definitely a good team, but if we want to get to a championship level, moves have to be made. This team currently constructed won't win a championship. I agree. JJ, appreciate you. I don't see any of our young players taking a leap. Does that include Quickly? Because there's some who let Tony Crow tell it. IQ gonna be a star. All right. D Block 1755. We're a little bit above average team, and I'm going to speak facts. We don't have one player on this team that makes anybody better. We are too inconsistent on both ends of the floor, point blank. I hear you. Knicks are nice. The roster needs to improve to compete. I mean, I think we're gonna compete, but compete for what? If you're talking about a championship, absolutely. Delano Still Jr., and no one is wrong for feeling frustrated. Even championship contenders still find moves to improve their roster. Yeah, absolutely. We were talking about that. Shout out to Paris Duggar. Y'all can't name a guy who makes Randle better. Okay, not sure what you mean by that, but okay. We're an average team. We did not get better in the offseason. Boston and Milwaukee front office did big work, and we are banking on run it back. Sad. This is a business. All right. Keith Turner, we need to trade Mitchell Robinson. Definitely have to upgrade from him. I'm sorry, but we just have to. I mean, Mitchell Robinson is playing his best basketball. But I will say, similar to RJ, he's kind of coming back down, a little bit from where he was the first few games of the season. I think for me, if Mitch was just a poquito, just a little offensive threat, I would be super happy. Dwayne Dennis, Queen, leading up to the season, when those of us that was posting for the front office to make the necessary moves, your answer was like, we don't know how this is done. Listen, I was definitely in the team upgrade. So if you thought, and I think this is what David was saying as well, Stephanie, let's remember before the season, I thought you said run it back, as we did not make any off-season. Nah, I was never, ever, 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 ever in the camp run it back, ever. You got to upgrade your roster. Even the championship teams upgraded your roster. Their roster. I don't think any of these players on this team are going to be stars, any of these young players. And I feel like there's a gap where you got, Brunson and Randle, maybe even RJ, who are ready, so to speak. And then you got the rest of the players, and some would even argue RJ, and some would even argue Randle, that are just not ready. And I feel like, and I think Ajay, you text me about this. By the time they get ready, Brunson may be, well into his prime while we're waiting for these young guys to get ready. Come on.
You gotta make a move.
That's a major problem, Queen. Just to, go back, as you were speaking upon, like what the records between us and Indiana's better than us. If I'm wrong, hit me with some tomatoes. They're better than us. The reason why they're better than us, because number one is they got 5 guys on their team that average 13 points a game. They got 8 guys that at least average 10 points a game. And the number one priority about their team, they have an identity, and the identity is the point guard, and they are willing to build around him. We have a point guard that we're not even making moves to build around. So that's why we on a hold. We got a point guard, but we have to just go get his roommate. That's not enough. You have to go get more pieces to go around this dude. You know what I'm saying? That's how you move forward. Until you start building around Brunson, that's our point guard, our floor leader, our general, our decision maker. We start building around here, we're not going anywhere. You know what I'm saying? When you got a marquee player, you have to build around that player. Just like Orlando, they building around that power forward that come from Duke. And they building defense, and they building the right situation around them guys. You know what I'm saying? We're not building around the guy that we have and what we're supposed to be doing. So that's why some of these other teams, they catching up to us, and they sliding passes and stuff. James Harden, you going Maxey. We building around Maxey. Y'all hear him talking? Maxey got be thinking about it at another level and all that there. They talking to him. They got a leader, a communicator. You know what I'm saying? And the office know that, and they're going to build around them. We're not doing that, man. We have to build around our piece. If we're not building around our piece, we're wasting our piece's time. And when it comes to him getting that check, he's going to want more money because you're wasting my time. You might as well pay me the whole thing. When I first came here thinking about taking a pay cut, so I could be a part of something that's very big and trying to head towards a championship. But if you're not going to build the right pieces around, let me get all my money. Get all up.
I don't think Jalen took a pay cut. to come here. I think that's a little bit revisionist history. We paid him twice what he was expected to get on the open market.
No. I'm not talking about now. I'm talking about the one that's coming. I'm willing to take a pay cut if you're getting the right pieces around me.
Oh, okay.
But if you're not, you playing around, you joking game, give me all my money.
I got you.
I'm in my prime.
Right. Nikki B says Indiana is better than us because they have a true superstar point guard. He's a pass first point guard. I don't think they're better than us because he's pass first. I think they're better than us because he's very good and he is on his way to being a superstar. You don't have to be a pass first point guard. Dame is not a pass first point guard. Curry is not a pass first point guard. You don't have to be a pass first point guard to be a really good player. In this league, right?
Queen, also, I'm sorry. The team matters, right? If you have shooters on your team, yeah, you're gonna be pass first. But if you guys have a bunch of guys bricking, throwing up bricks, you're not gonna be a pass first because you got to score. That's how you win the game. You got to score the basketball. If the guys on your team are not scoring, you have taken upon yourself the team. I'm okay with Brunson scoring 45 if nobody else is scoring on the team. Yeah, no problem with that.
Yeah, and I believe. Go ahead.
I'll just say, where's that going to get us? Oohs and ahs.
No, Jay Boogie. So where is it going to get us when nobody else is scoring and he's passing the ball? That ain't getting us nowhere either.
No, well, I really look for Brunson to go inside that office. If I'm doing all that, I look for Brunson to go in that office. So is Brunson that type of guy where he go knocking on their office door and he talking to him, telling you, listen, you got to get it right.
Yeah, give me the right players up here.
Yeah, I mean, so he has to say so. You can't just call and tell him, yo, go get my roommate. Go get me these pieces. You know what I'm saying? And then we can see if things matter. And then be honest with you, I don't know if it really. I don't know how much of it really, really is going to matter. You know what I'm saying? When he had a Olympic team around him, I don't know, man. He had an Olympic team around him too. So I don't. Maybe we need a big, gigantic point guard, and he can play on the wing.
That'll work too.
You know what
I mean, the bottom line is we have to upgrade this roster. Yeah. I don't. At this point, I don't see Brunson as a superstar. I think he's a star in this league. I don't think he's a superstar in this league. But the bottom line is he's our best player, in my opinion. Who are you getting to play with him? Who are you matching him with? That's the thing. Who are you putting around him? That's going to take advantage of what he can do. And I really believe, and I guess I'm not going to know until it happens. I believe once we get better players on this team, I could see Brunson taking a step back scoring wise. I can really see him because I see him doing whatever it takes to win. I don't think he feels like he needs to score. On this particular team, yes. But let's just say we had Ingram on one wing and Paul George on another wing, and we had Randle. You think Brunson is averaging 25 points a game on that team? He could because he has the ball in his hands, and if he wants to take the same shots, he could. I just don't think he would. So it's about who are you getting around him. This team, to me, that's around Brunson, in my opinion, is not on his level. I just don't think the team is. I'm not going to say every single player, but there's a few players that I maybe one or two. I just feel like it's a mismatch between Brunson and the rest of the roster, in my opinion. We'll see. Anyway, let's move on let's talk about Grimes, because I want to talk about this in the context of, that's not the one. Sorry, that's not what I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about this in the context of Thibodeau and if he's losing the locker room. Fournier had issues with his role, and like a fart in a dust storm, he's just gone. He's just gone. I think it was a week ago, Hart had issues with his role, and now Grimes. Grimes said,
Don't
it's,
don't don't
Mhm.
forget Cam Reddish. Don't forget Obi.
Yeah,
All have
that's
problems
true.
with their
Yeah,
roles.
yeah, that's true. With their role. Um,
Great
it's
point.
just yeah, it's just hard when you go the whole quarter without touching the ball, the whole second quarter without touching the ball, and then you get one shot and you got to make it. He's talking. I think he's over. But anyway, this was the Milwaukee game. So it's tough going out there and just standing in the corner the whole game. Then you got to make the shot when you shoot the ball one or two times per game. It is what it is. We'll see. So he's definitely frustrated. His shot attempts have been going down over the course of the early season. Your thoughts on Grimes' comments? Is he? Do you agree with them, or do you agree but feel like it should have been kept in house? Just what are your thoughts on Grimes' comments? Ajay, Bugs, and then Jeff.
It's not that. I mean, he's frustrated. He's expressing it. If they ask him a question, he's being honest. I don't feel like he's putting out the dirty laundry. He's not telling what's going on. He's just saying how he feels and how he sees the game and how he reads what's going on.
Mhm,
I don't think it's a matter of him not keeping it in house.
mhm,
And I'm sure he talks to the coaches day in and day out. So they probably heard that 2 months ago, or at the beginning of the season, or last season. I don't know, but listen, we see what he's saying. What he's saying, we actually see it on the court.
mhm.
Okay, maybe it's time to realize. I mean, that's how Thibodeau is. That's you can't change that. And this is if he's not the only one that says that. There's several players before him had the same problem, and maybe that's what need that's what he needs to do in order for Tibbs to make a change. I mean, Josh Hart a couple of weeks ago had similar complaints, and they changed it up for him, give him more minutes, put him in a better position to perform, and he does. Maybe the same thing that happened to Quentin Grimes. You know,
Do
so
you think it's the offense, or do you think it's that he's playing with ball dominant players, Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson,
so
and
it's
hold on, and RJ Barrett. And so you do need to space the floor for them. And then number two, and this is for the entire panel, why does I personally I wouldn't run plays for Grimes. Like when I think about just because of his role in that starting lineup, which is to space. When I think about players like Malik Monk for Sacramento, and he's spacing for Fox and Sabonis, they're not running plays for him. Or I think about um, Buddy Hield in Indiana, or I think about any of these floor spacing two guards who is not the best player. They'll run plays for Booker because Booker's their better player. So they're going to run players to get him open. But for those who are not the best players and they're the floor spacers, they don't really run plays for those guys. To me, I don't think it's the offense. To me, I think it's Brunson, Randall, and RJ. And maybe not even RJ. They have to do a better job of finding these outlets on their drives. That's my take on it. But go ahead, Adrian.
Well, no, and so I was kind of gonna go along that same line. So it's a combination of both the offense and the players that you have on the roster. So you look at the roster. How else? I mean, how else can Tom Thibodeau run this? You know what I'm saying? I mean, he has guys. Those guys are. I'm talking about Brunson and Julius Randle. They are pretty good ISO players, right? And we've won games with them playing the ISO ball. Okay. And I don't think Quentin Grimes is asking for them to run plays for him. I think he's just saying that the tolerance is not high. Like if he missed one or two shots and that's the end of his night. You know what I'm saying? And it shouldn't be that way. I think that's what he's saying. So it's not that he wants them to run plays for him. He understands that he's a floor spacer. He's not He's not the main focus on the offense. Yes. And he needs to be in position when those guys are double teamed or when the play's dying, you know, the ball comes to him, he's got to be ready to shoot.
Right.
So, but I think he's pointing out that even in those situations, he's not getting the ball.
Oh, I agree with him.
He's saying even when Julius Randle's, double team, triple team, or RJ, they'll force it. I mean, Randle has made an effort to pass it out, but RJ Barrett will force it. Or even Brunson. Brunson will take on two guys. I mean, he scores most of the time, but he's saying that even those crappy plays, he doesn't get the ball. He'll get it with second and a half, left on the shot clock, and then he quickly throws something up. He misses it, and the coach looking at him sideways and get ready to take him out the game.
Right.
I think that's what he's saying.
Right.
So he's not asking for him to call plays for him. He understands the game. That's he sees the other teams.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I've heard some fans say that run play. I'm not running plays for Grimes. That I don't see them running plays for any other shooting guards who aren't the top players on the team. But I agree with you. There is more opportunities for him than when he's in the game. Now, keep in mind, he's only playing 20 minutes a game. So the idea that he's going to get 8, 10, 12 shots, no. But 1, 2, 3, no. That's no. I think we do have to do a better job. Boogie and then Geoff.
Dude is the fourth option on his team, point blank. That's what it is, dude. I'm disappointed in Grimes, man. That's just me, because I had some high hopes for Grimes. Coming in from finally almost playing a whole season last year, playing in the playoffs, worked out on your own during the off season, got a phone call to go be, to work out with the Olympic team to play against them, and you was working out with JJ Redick. So I had high hopes for this guy. But now I'm like, where's it at as far as your game? It's a different level from college and the pros. Dude know how to be a scorer. Dude know how to go get the ball instead of waiting for it. He know how to do all that. But okay, you're in a position where you're the fourth option, dude. You got to play your role. Your role is, is being prepared to catch and shoot and play defense. That's your role. You are a number one wing defensive player. You get the big boy assignments that RJ no longer gets. That is your job and your duty. So what's wrong with you having your job and your duty? You want to go do something else, and then this team doesn't consist of you doing that. I mean, you ain't all the other players that you ain't hear them other players, really like running up and talking on the microphone. Have you ever went in the office and talked to Tom and say, yo, what can I do to do better? How can I get my game going? What am I doing wrong, coach? Please let me know. I ain't hear none of that type stuff leak out. All I just heard in as far as this interview is I need more shots, and if I wasn't doing it, I said it before, and people thought I was joking when I called him a better defensive Kevin Knox. I called him that before. But I had high hopes of maybe he would do something different coming into the season, and I'm not getting it. I said on this show, I think Grimes is one of the players on this team that we're going to go as far as Grimes go. He's going to help us go, because if Grimes can come in there anywhere 10 to 14 points per night, that's big for the team. I said that on this show, but I don't know what it is with Grimes, but where I'm looking at it right now, we didn't trade him, put him involved with the Mitchell thing. We came here. Don't lose out whatever little bit of stock he do got. If he ain't meant to be here, be whatever, get rid of the dude. Stop holding on to these guys. Stop holding them, hoping they gonna come around and all this. Listen to their story. I got a story. We ain't won one since 73. That's my story. And it repeats every week. I'm not keep listening to these guys' stories, man, about what ain't going right for them, what ain't been going right for this whole organization. Stop holding on to these guys, man. If it don't fit, don't work, get them up out of there. Stop holding back. Dante can take his spot. Give him the spot. And then let him sit on the bench and think about it, pouting all that there. Let him go over there. But if you out there on that floor and your mind frame is thinking, yo, I ain't going to get the ball. I ain't really got no business. Don't put him out there because he already feel like he ain't a part of being out there. You keep forcing this guy out there and it's not working unless the offensive system change and we do something different offensively and not become so much ISO. It's an ISO team. We go one-on-one. That's it. Besides a timeout here, draw up a play. Then you call a timeout, draw the play up for you to play up to shoot a trade. I don't know where you shot the ball at. So, I mean, I don't want to keep holding on to these guys. Yeah. That's just where I'm at. I don't want to keep holding on to these guys, making excuses for them because of their own reasons.
Right.
It's not working. Right. It's not working because you're not supposed to be a big time scorer, dude. All you gotta do is be prepared to catch and shoot and get up on the defensive end with that back to your basket and stop somebody. That's where your money gonna be at. You blowing your money on what you got in defense because you're worrying about shots.
Yeah, well, for those who feel like development is being able to be on the court and get in playing time no matter what, Grimes is the example. Because he's somebody that's just been, in my opinion, gifted minutes. Whether he shoots well or doesn't shoot well, has a great defensive game or doesn't have a great defensive game. And again, I think that's because Tom Thibodeau is looking at how the entire team operates. He's not focused particularly on Grimes. But for those who feel like that's how you develop by being out there on the floor, Grimes has been out there on the floor starting for the team. Last year, he averaged close to 30 minutes a game. This year is down to 22. As a matter of fact, I think I have it here. I could bring it up. I didn't do Grimes. I know I did Grimes. Yeah, I did. All right, so this is Quentin Grimes. Last year, he averaged 29.9 minutes, 11 points a game, 3.2 rebounds, 2.1 assists. He shot 46.8% from the field, 38.6% from three, 79.6% from the free throw line. How much of this is just a confidence issue? Because it's hard for me to believe that, sorry, Geoff. It's hard for me to believe that, you can do this one season, but all of a sudden now you just can't play. 6 points, 1.3 rebounds, 1.2 assists, shooting just 35.9% from the field, 34.5% from three, 66.7% from the free throw line. But he's only been to the free throw line 2 or 3 times. I think it's a confidence. Issue. And I'm wondering if the players are losing confidence in him, because I've seen a few times where he was open and they just looked and passed the ball the other way. So, yeah. Geoff? I'm sorry. We didn't get to you. We didn't get to you. Sorry, Geoff.
You're good. I think it's Dr. Seuss who once wrote that unslumping yourself is not easily done. And especially in an environment where the best players need to play. And I don't think there's any question that DiVincenzo and Quickly and even to a certain extent Hart have just outplayed him. And RJ Barrett has as well. So, I mean, you have to, I know he's a young player, but you have to take the mantle of responsibility on yourself. I mean, he's shooting 35.9% from the field. I wouldn't pass the ball to him either. Right? I mean, look, you gotta figure that stuff out, man. This is the NBA. We're not here to baby you along. I mean, we've got guys who can play, and look, you're not getting, if you don't want to stand in the corner, do what DiVincenzo does. He's moving all the time. He's cutting, he's screening, he's running pick and roll with with Julius. He's doing all kinds of stuff
Say it again.
you know, so make yourself a threat, even if you're not shooting the ball well. There are things that you can do. I mean, if you're just saying all I'm doing is stand in the corner, well, maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe maybe you're supposed to be doing a little bit more than that. You know,
Yeah,
and if the defensive responsibilities and assignments make it too hard for you to work on the offensive end, then get better game tape. You know, I like Grimes, but we have a lot of good players on this team, and if you're not going to perform, you're not going to play. And I don't think that Thibodeau should apologize for that. I mean, in other words, if he was shooting 46, 38, and 79 from the field, I don't think his minutes would be at 22.9 because he's been our best perimeter defender. So, you know, look in the mirror, young man, and get it together. I mean, you can poor pitiful me, or you can step up and do your job and get right. You got the talent to do it, but get out of your own head, because that's what it is right now. He's in his own head. He's down on himself, and you know, you got to snap out of that yourself. We can't. You know, this is not babysitting. You know, get your act together. Be a grown man. Accept your responsibility for your performance, because you're the one who's playing like garbage, and step up and play better.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with him that it's hard when you're getting, you know, a few shots per game to be on point. But I don't think, yeah. So I agree with him on, with that. He doesn't get a lot of shots. But he's putting a lot of pressure on him. I only got one shot, and I feel like I gotta make it, because if I don't make it, I'm gonna come out of the game. I think that's pressure he's putting on himself. In my opinion. But he's right. He doesn't get a lot of shots per game. But I said this before. Look who he's playing with. There are some guys, you play with LeBron James. There's a few others. They're going to make the right pass regardless. You could be shooting 0.12%. If you're open, they're going to swing the ball because that's the right play. He ain't playing with them players. Brunson, Randle, RJ, Quick, if you ain't hitting it, you ain't getting it. That's how they play. That's how they play. Think about, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's how they play. Those guys are alphas. They feel like, nah, I'm 50%. 1 to 5 foot from the rim, I'm 50%. I know I can knock this down. I'm not passing it out to you and you shooting 35. Those are just the players that he's playing with. But to your point, I forgot who said this. I don't think when you're in the corner to space the offense, I don't think Tom Thibodeau is saying you can't cut.
Exactly.
DiVincenzo is cutting. You got to read the defense. I don't think it's, Hart, when he complained, did the offense really change that much? He had 3 really good games after that. I don't really see what changed. Hart just woke up and just started taking the opportunities. You got to take the opportunities. Anyway, let me see what the chat has to.
Yeah, just real quick, Queen.
Yes,
Before you can start pointing your fingers at all the other scenarios, you got to make sure you're doing everything yourself to help your game. And that's what Captain was saying, dude. When talking about Dante, he's cutting, he's moving, he's making himself aware. He looked like he want to shoot the ball. You don't even look like you want to shoot the ball. So yeah, you got to make sure that you're doing all the necessary things that can help yourself, so the team can help you along with it. And if you're not, then the team is going to lose confidence. The team gonna have an excuse not to pass you ball, because like Queen said, them type guys they ain't looking to pass you the ball. They ready to go 1-on-3. 104 if I got two. I'm RJ, man. What you talking about? Don't let him pass the ball, man. For what, man? Sorry, Queen.
No, that's totally fine. Let me just shout out to Paris Duggar. Has DiVincenzo created his own shot off the dribble? It doesn't matter.
He has though. Yes.
That's if okay, he has, but that may not be his game. We don't need somebody that create off the dribble. We have those guys in the starting lineup. We need catch and shoot guys. We need release points for those guys. That's what we need DiVincenzo to do, even if he can create off the dribble. When you get in that starting lineup, understand, what your role, what your role is. Julius Caesar, how though, J Boog, what did Grimes really show you last season to have any expectations of him coming into this season?
But one thing is we know until, what this is Grimes, third year, right?
Yes.
This is third year. And he really has before that, he has not played a full season.
Right.
So you figure more time that he got on the court. And like I said earlier, all the off-season things, you will hope that, those things that he was working out and getting his game better would carry over to now. Like I said, he was one of the guys practicing against the Olympic team. He's one of them guys. They called him in there. So you had chances to work on whatever dribbles you're doing and all that and ask questions to better your game. And I just thought it would carry over, but I was wrong, hoping that, that the guy would have it. To me, he doesn't have it. And I apologize, my guy, for thinking that, he'll be doing what he started to remind me of the guy that comes in the gym. The only reason why he's playing because he brought the ball in there. This only reason he's to run. Because we're playing with the ball.
But are we down on Grimes all around, even in terms of what he can be? Or are we just talking about how he's been as of late? He hasn't been good. Or are we saying that we don't think he's a good player? We don't think he has a high ceiling? Like, are we going that far with it?
I'm going far as whereas he doesn't do enough on the game, and I see the guy that comes in and takes his position, whose handle is just as shaky as his, do more of the things that he can do, like rebound and go coast to coast, push the rock, make a pass, or do something. Or you see times that at times when Quickly's in the game, he give Dante the ball, handler, you facilitate. You know what I'm saying? That's come from playing in his spot. So you're getting more out of that spot with Dante than what Grimes is giving you. So that's why I'm losing a whole lot of faith. He doesn't do anything else as far as the basketball. Okay, you play defense. Okay, we know you can play defense. What else you doing? Where's your rebounds? When have you dived for a loose ball? Brunson leads the league. When have you took a charge? When have you done these things so we can get off your back far as you shooting? You know what I'm saying? You're not doing that. See, Mitch was doing those things. That's why we slide away a little bit from Mitch, scoring, and hopefully he can do, because he does so much rebounding, blocking shots, you know what I'm saying, until over the last couple of games. But you forget about him doing that. He does the other things. That's why that time Randle got the ball, said, no, post back up, my brother. I'm going to give you the ball. I don't care what you do. Throw it over the rim if you want to, but you deserve it for your effort. We don't have that effort where a guy want to reward Grimes for his effort now. Like the effort we got in the playoffs, that 48-minute game he did, we need that. Where's the 48-minute? You're not even giving us that 48 minutes in the 20 minutes you got. That's why I'm down on Grimes.
Okay. All right. I want to finish this, but I'm not down on Grimes forever. I just feel like I'm down on him right now. Because I saw the potential for last year, and people have bad stretches. Players have bad stretches. Players have bad seasons. Like, we've all had a bad week, bad year. Some of us having bad lives. It happens to the best of us. I don't know if I'm ready to say he's not going to ever be a good player. I was talking to somebody. I won't say who it is, and he said, "Man, Grimes don't even deserve to be in the league. I don't think he's an NBA player." I was like, I don't know about that. Um,
Hey, Queen, I'm gonna say one more thing, and I'm gonna chill.
okay, that's fine.
He is the only guy jersey that I have, and I got more than these. I got Randall's All Star. That's the only jersey I have that has the name on it. My name is on the back of all these jerseys, but I kept his name because I thought it was gonna be the number 6. You know, I almost threw that mug away the other day.
Mm.
I'm keeping it 100. Almost did, but I left it there, hoping and praying that he gets something right. But yeah. Woo.
Yeah. Grimes had confidence issues at Kansas and couldn't cut it. Had to transfer to Houston to find his way. And maybe, he'll find his way, here as well. Space goes, if Grimes wants shots, he'll need to come off the bench. Not enough shots available with the starters. It should be, though, because they draw so much attention. There should be shots available for him. Grimes was given more opportunities than both Cam and Obi combined. If he can't capitalize on that opportunity, that's on him. Knicks 100 a GM. Can't nobody on this team do what Grimes does? Nobody. Okay, I guess he's talking defensively. D Block 1755. When do this team elevate our young players? What in practice? No, they need to be playing in real-time games, but Tibbs don't operate like that. But they are playing in real-time games. I mean, we got one of the youngest rosters in the league. In the playoffs last year, we were one of the youngest teams, if not the youngest team in the playoffs. Quickly is playing. Grimes is playing. RJ is playing. Mitch is playing. I mean, you can't play everybody. This is a young team, and they're getting playing time. So I don't understand that one.
Grimes is going to backfire RJ's potential. It's going to because you just be like, okay, RJ don't have to check the best offensive wing player no more. Now he can, go check somebody else, and he can kill on offensive end. And so, this little, this medical issue. RJ was doing real good. You really felt good about RJ. But if Grimes can't hold it down, it's going to force RJ have to back in that spot. You're going to put somebody else. And if they put Dante in that spot, guess what RJ has to do? He has to go back to checking them Tatums and all that stuff. That's why Grimes is so important. So important. You allow RJ to work. But if you can't handle your position, now RJ has to do that. And now RJ can't do what he was doing before he got hurt. He can't find that rhythm back again. Might as well feel like we traded Reggie Bullock again. RJ moved to the 3. Ready to check these dudes, dude. Don't even worry about all the other stuff. You got to play D. Because Grimes can't, he's not cool with that position.
Yeah.
You're just not just hurting what you grind, you're hurting a whole lot of other things too.
I mean, I see it as there's definitely more possibility if he was hitting a shot, but I just think Tibbs has just decided he's going to stick with Grimes no matter what. And somebody said, I think it was Julian Blum on another show, said Grimes out here taking bullets for Thibodeau because Tibbs is the one that's keeping him in the starting lineup. It's not his fault. Tibbs is keeping him in.
Queen, do you think? I mean, since you talk about starting lineup, do you think he'd be better off in the with the second unit?
He might be better off in out the rotation. I mean, the way he's
damn,
the way he's playing. The way he's playing right now, because as Ron from Still Knick fan, shout out to Ron, would say, and he said this even last year, we don't get a lot of ancillary stats from Grimes. He's playing defense, he's knocking down the 3, but you're not getting rebounds, assists, steals. You don't get a lot of ancillary stats from Grimes. So now if that shot isn't falling, other than the defense, you're not getting much. But I wouldn't take him out the rotation. I would just put him. I think he might get more opportunities off the bench.
I wish Deuce had his height.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No doubt about it. Let's move on to RJ Barrett, who I don't have it in this slide, but just came out of the season gangbusters, just in terms of, playing better defense, hitting his 3-point shot, hitting his free throws. He had the migraine headaches, missed 2, maybe 3 games. Then over the last 7 games, free throws, getting to the free throw line, hitting the free throws still at a high rate. His floor game, I still think, is good. His defense has fell off a little bit. His shooting has fell off a little bit. But last season, he averaged 33.9 minutes per game, basically 20 points, 5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 2.8 assists. He shot 43.4% from the field, 31% from 3, 74% from the free throw line. This year, in less minutes, he's playing 29.5 minutes per game. He's averaging 19 points, 3.9 rebounds, 2.6 assists. That shooting percentage now is worse than it was last year. 41.9% from the field, but the 3-point shooting, I believe, I don't know what the average is for small forwards this season, but I know last season 38.2 was probably average or maybe even above average from the 3-point line, and 85.3% from the free throw line. Thoughts on RJ Barrett and how he's played over the first 20 games? Geoff, we'll start with you, and we got a lot to do, so we'll just do like 2 minutes or so for each of us so that we can roll through. Geoff?
Yeah, so he's up 7% on his 3-point shooting. That means his 2-point shooting is really in the toilet.
Yeah,
like
the Knicks.
He's 2% less, or a percent and a half less shooting from the field and shooting 7% better from 3. Wow. Can he make anything inside the arc? That's stunning. I mean, and I'm not going to get on him about, like, his rebounding is down a little bit and his assists are, but his minutes are less too. So I'm not so much concerned about that. But, and I know he's not, I'm not even, I'm stunned that he's at 38%. I'll take that any day of the week, twice on Sunday. But he needs to get that inside the arc percentage up. He just does. I mean, I love that he's getting to the line, though, and I love that he's making them. So that's a good thing. His gravity is a real thing. He is able to get downhill, and I still like his process better. But he and Robinson both seem to have like a little bit of a regression going on, and I'm not super thrilled about it.
Yeah, I think RJ's problem is the Knicks' problem. We're top 10 in 3-point shooting, ranked in the league, but our 2-point shooting is atrocious. And so RJ Barrett is just a mirror of what's going on with the entire team. Boogie, your thoughts on RJ Barrett this season so far?
I was at the game. I was at the game in Atlanta when it was like 3 minutes left in the game, and RJ came through the tunnel with his hoodie over his head, with the medical band around him. So whatever he went through, as far as whatever the illness was, it really threw him off. I liked it the way how RJ came out this year. It looked like he had some spunk about his game. It looked like he really was, took time to work out, amongst his game, outside of playing in you know what I'm saying, in the little Olympic tournament thing. It looked like he talked to other people and got, understand different understandings, and it carried over to this season. This is one of the best starts I think RJ had, and I was happy and was rooting for that. And I'm praying that he can find back that form, whereas, how he came out in the beginning of the game because RJ was making a lot of dagger plays. And I take dagger plays a whole lot more than, you know what I'm saying, just, not making plays. At certain times RJ was there, whether he was getting to the basket, finishing, hitting big shots and making free throws. That means a lot, far as me. I'm hoping he can get back to his ways. But I'm gonna say it again. If RJ has to go back to playing, being that defensive guy, you can forget his game coming back. You can forget it. It's not going to come back because you're going to have to concentrate so hard and so much on that defensive end to where he already has shown it that he's not that two-way player. He can't go all out on D and be that on offense. He can't do that. And that's why I mentioned this is so important about Grimes' game because it allows him to do other things on the court. And if he has to go back to doing what he was before he started putting on at the beginning of this season, then we're going to start seeing more of the old RJ, because he's got to focus on defense because we don't have that defensive wing player. But I like what RJ is doing and how he came into the season, and especially with his free throw. He's looking like you can't foul him. He's looking like he's not running away from the contact. I remember him, RJ, he didn't have the right angles when he go to the basket. But now he's looking to get a little foul because he's confident at making the free throw. But he just got to continue on, developing his game. That's all RJ got to do. And it started real good this season, right? He developed over this off season. Getting the bronze, little bragging, right? Talking in the locker room and all that. That carried over into the floor. So
Right.
I need RJ to find himself.
Yeah. Ajay?
Well, I mean, RJ, as mentioned, he started the season very well. He was out a couple of games. He comes back. He's got to get his groove. He's got to get back in the groove. But I've said that a few times on the show. I've seen RJ had a stretch of good games. Okay, I'm not gonna say it's gonna be good. No, it's not gonna be good or any of that stuff. I just have to wait and see what RJ does the rest of the season. Like every NBA player, he's gonna have some good games and some bad games. But at the end of the day, you got to look at the big picture, like overall how he performed over the season. Not pick out one game or pick out one opponent or whatever. You got to look at the season as a whole to see like how did he made any progress during the season. So let's just wait and see what RJ does. Right now, like the last couple of games haven't been as good as the way he started the season, but he looks like he's in a good groove, or he at least at the beginning of the season, so he could get back there again. As the season comes along. So
Yeah, and I'll agree with Boogie on this point. If DiVincenzo gets into that starting lineup, I think Barrett is going to have to guard those threes. I know DiVincenzo is probably the same height as Grimes, but Grimes is chunky. Or if he looks it, he looks thick. And might be stronger than DiVincenzo. So
his lateral movement's much better than DiVincenzo.
Right. So if DiVincenzo goes into the starting lineup, then maybe RJ now has to take those assignments, and maybe that could be why the change hasn't been made. That Tibbs just doesn't like DiVincenzo playing the guys that Grimes has been playing, or RJ having to play them. That being said, Grimes is only playing 20 minutes a game. So at some point, DiVincenzo and RJ, play them anyway. Yeah. I'm okay with RJ. I don't really see him ever being a really consistent, efficient player.
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Do you, that's for the panel, of course. Do you think we put, and I'm not and I'm not saying we shouldn't play defense or should completely disregard defense. Do you think we put too much emphasis on it? Like maybe that's too much of a focal point compared to what other teams do. Because at the end of the day, to win ball game, you have to score the basketball. I understand you have to try to do your best to prevent the other team from scoring as well, right? But do you think we, because I mean, I think it's fair to say most other teams would look at Quinn Grimes and DiVincenzo and say, you know what, DiVincenzo can score more. Let's put him in the starting lineup. But now we worried about how he's guarding, like how we playing defense. Do you think we put too much emphasis on that? I'm just asking the question.
I think it's a trade-off. But I will say this, and I mentioned this in my podcast. By the way, I recapped the Milwaukee game. I'm not doing the morning show. So look for my podcast on your lunch break the day after the Knicks play. People say defense wins championships, offense wins games, defense wins championships. I don't think that holds true on the NBA level. I think on this level, with the scorers on this level, I think if you have a good defensive team, it'll keep you in the game. It'll keep the game close to give you an opportunity. But you have to have enough offense to take advantage of that opportunity. I just think back to when we lost to Atlanta a few years ago. We had a top 5 defense in the league. We couldn't score against Miami. We were ranked number 1 or number 2 in playoff defense through 2 rounds. We couldn't score. So defense is good. I don't think you can abandon it and be the 30th defensive team. Like that's what Indiana is dealing with right now. They're the number 1 offensive team, but they're the 30th defensive team. I don't think their defense needs to be top 10, but it can't be 30, right? I think they're going to have problems in the playoffs. But the Knicks, we got a top 5 defense. Oh, we're gonna win a champ. No. Look at Denver. They got enough stops, to win the championship because their offense was really good. Now, obviously, when you have an offense that potent, your defense doesn't need to be great, right? I don't think the defense is overrated. I think we do need to be a solid defensive team. I just feel like we got RJ Barrett and we got Mitchell Robinson in the lineup. Like you can only have one player that's not shooting the ball well in the offense on the NBA level, in my opinion. Otherwise, your offense gets bogged down. That's my thoughts on it. But Boogie, Geoff,
Go ahead, Captain.
Well, as a former coach, I'm really a defensive guy, and if you're trailing in a game, you really need to be able to get those 2-3 defensive stops in a row. You know what I mean? So from that perspective, I don't think you can minimize the defensive impact. And Denver really did a good job, especially in the finals, in the fourth quarter, of getting stopped on Miami. That was a big part of how they won the championship. It wasn't just the fact that they were scoring. So, you don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Is that the expression?
Mm-hmm.
But, so I think it's a case of that. Do you have to be an elite defensive team?
Right.
Like you used to be? Maybe not, but I think you need to be at least upper half, at least top 10. If especially, and the other thing is, if you're not elite offensively, then you really need to be elite defensively, right? In other words, if you have what Denver had on offense or what Indiana has on offense, you can kind of afford to not be as strong on the defensive end. And we saw that with the Knicks last year. Regular season, we were 19th in total defense, but our offense was a top 5 offense, and we were able to, win 47 games that way. So, and our net rating was very good. So I think if your defense isn't going to be elite, your offense needs to be elite. and vice versa. If you don't have an elite offense, if you want to win games, you've got to be able to get stops, because you're not going to be able to outscore people.
But you can get stops without being an elite defensive team. I think back to those Lakers teams, and Shaq talked about it all the time. They weren't a really good defensive team, but they knew, like, down the stretch, that they were able to lock in. So you do need to be able to get timely stops. But you can have a juggernaut offense, top 5, if you can't score the ball, you're not winning a championship.
Bottom line.
You're just not in this NBA, because you're not, your defense will never be good enough to hold these teams down for a significant period of time. They're just too good. You can get a stop here, you can get a stop there, but if you think you're going to be the 90 Knicks, or I don't know what season was that, 2022 Knicks, when we had Reggie Bullock and we couldn't score, you're not getting that far. But I agree with you, Geoff. You can't just be a subway turnstile, or on defense. You have to be able to get stops. But my preference would be a top 10 offense and a top 15 defense, and we can get timely stops. Than the other way around. It's just going to be, you're not going to be able to hold these guys down. Boogie, your thoughts?
Yeah, when you can't get timely stops, or you can't get timely rebounds, or timely loose balls, you know what I'm saying? You can't get none of those three things, then you're in trouble. Yeah, you gotta have to be able to score, but you gotta be able to get stops too, especially with points at crucial point in times of the game. As you go on a run, you got people talking about we need to go on a run on offense. It is a such thing as going on a run on defense when you get multiple stops, you know what I'm saying? So you can get yourself back into the game if you're down, or get a stop, you know what I'm saying, to stop a team trying to come back in the game. I saw that with the Pacers tonight, and late in the game with Greek, having look like he was getting a little bit his way with Obi, and they made a sub that quick. They brought Obi in, and in the 2 minutes they took him right back out and brought that boy Naismith back. And let me get a little bit more defense. You gotta be able to get defensive stops, but you gotta have the coach that know when you need to get the stops, and then you got to have the right players that know that I got to do everything I got to do to make sure that my guy doesn't score, and if I can help out in any type of form and my man doesn't still beat me, then I need to do that too. But you got to be able to get stops, you got to be able to get rebounds, you got to be able to get loose balls. All that plays its part, but you also got to be able to score that basket. You know what I'm saying? You can get away sometimes, like the Pacers can get away with a little bit right now. If you can score, you can get away with it a little bit right now. Make it harder for other people. But if you can't score and you can't play no D, you might as well go ahead, and pray for a top lottery pick.
Yeah, I guess is what's the balance between the offense and the defense, depending on your team. For the Knicks, I need a little more offensive versatility, a little more offense. Like I said, I don't think we need to be the 20th ranked defense, but I would take us falling down some defensively if we can get better shooting on this team. For me, I would take that trade-off.
I would too.
All right. Anybody else we want to talk about as far as the players are concerned? I mean, we don't have to go through each and every one, but is there anybody you want to talk about? We should probably talk about Mitch, because I think Mitch is somebody who, at least in the beginning of the season, I mean, he's just had a few bad games, but for most of the season, he's been really good for us. Last season, he averaged 27 minutes a game, 7.4 points, 9.4 rebounds, 1.8 blocks, almost a steal a game, shot 67.1% from the field, 48.4% from the free throw line. This year, he's playing 30 minutes a game, 6 points, 10 rebounds, 10.4, 1.4 blocks, 1.6 steals, which is phenomenal for a center. 57.6% from the field, but just 38.9% from the free throw line. As well as he's playing, it still hasn't changed for me. My preference would be to have a center who's, not a disaster on defense, but, maybe not as good a defensive as Mitchell Robinson, but can give us a little more offense. But I'm not taking anything away from what Mitchell Robinson has brought to us this season. Thoughts on Mitchell Robinson?
First thing first, I want to say about Mitch, man. Yo, big ups to you, man, on this situation you did, wasn't it, Mr. Bob?
That's what I wanted to talk about too. Yes, absolutely.
Big time situation, man. A lot of people, they want to go back to help their friends, but for this guy to go back all the way to school and to get his coach, his speech and everything, what I'm saying, and knowing what he been through, what he was going through in life, and telling me, all right, I'm here for you. You was there for me to help me get right. You played a major role in my life. Come live with me. Salute to you, my brother, for making that move right there. That was real majorly big for him. It was majorly big for the organization and our fan base. For him doing that. What I'm saying, that's a big honor right there. But Mitch only problem to me is when he's dealing with the stretch fives. You know what I'm saying? He has problems with Lopez. When he playing against centers and stuff that's not really out there, Mitch is a monster out there on that floor. But when they get to pulling him away from that rim and away from that basket and everything, it allows Mitch to go through certain scenarios. So but I love what Mitch is doing this year. His effort, you know what I'm saying. I feel a little bit better this time this year when knock on something. I feel a little bit better this season, when he gets back up, Mitch is a real big, strong dude, but seeing that guy is gigantor, man, in real life, man. I mean, gigantor. But yeah, man, Mitch is really, really looking good. It looked like his athleticism is catching up to all the strength and the weights that he's been doing. He's able to, to carry that weight at the same time, because he was a real bony type guy at one time. But Mitch is doing the best. Mitch is doing what he he's supposed to do. Versus, him trying to, get mad because I ain't scoring or all that deal. He knows what he's supposed to do: rebound, block shots, anchor the defense, hit the offensive boards. He do know that. So he stays within knowing that part of his game, even though he can't do other things. And I appreciate Mitch for that right there. And a lot of game situations, man, we'd have been hurt without Mitch. You want to talk about some defense? We'd be hurt without Mitch in a lot of games. So yeah, I like what Mitch is doing and what he's brought to the table this year. You know what I'm saying? As far as giving his all effort, man. I want some more things from him, but as long as he's giving me what he's supposed to give me, I can't be mad at him. Yeah. Besides them last couple of games he took off. Don't go to Milwaukee, Mitch.
AJ, again, we're gonna keep it, so we can.
Yeah, and I will keep it short. My only Mitch, I'm okay. I'm fine with Mitch. I'm obviously having a better start of season than he's done in the past. My only problem with him is, you play a certain amount of minutes. You're very active. I expect Mitch to at least have 10 points a game.
They gotta pass it to him though. We're not taking advantage of him in terms of lobs,
Yeah, well, that's true. Some don't. Like Jalen Brunson doesn't really have that lob game with him, and he should. Like, he's a point guard. But he cleans up a lot. He grabs a lot of offensive rebounds, so he should be able to score at least 2.5 points a quarter. Like, that's 2 points a quarter. Like, that's not much. That is not much. So if he could give me 10 points a game, 12 points a game, I mean, we're going to be in great shape if he could do that. That's all I ask of Mitch. I otherwise have no issues with him. And of course, the free throws, which goes along the same line that, 10, 12 points a game. If he was hitting his free throws, he probably would have been there. So that's it with Mitch. That's all. Short.
Yeah, I'm a little bit opposite. I would rather Mitch be at 12 rebounds a game than at 10 points a game. You could get both, that would be even better. But if Mitch was 6 points and 12 rebounds a game, I think that better serves this team than if he's at 10 and 10. At this point, he is who he is on offense. We kind of know that he's, if you're not going to get him involved in the lob game, which doesn't seem to be, in our vocabulary very much, then just leave him the way that he is. But get those rebounds, man. Get those rebounds up to 12 a game. Keep that defensive rebound percentage high. We already know he's one of the best offensive rebounders in the game, but can't have these games like Milwaukee where you just and he's always had these in his career. That's frustrating, where he just he's invisible man for quarters at a time, and we need him to do better about that. We need him to be and not that he's going to have a great game every time, but when you're the anchor of the defense, we need to be able to rely on you for those 10 rebounds every game, every night. Get those, make sure you secure those, and keep doing your thing on defense. But I'll keep it short because I can talk about Robinson all night. And, we've already at the 2 hour 15-minute mark. So
Yeah, I think there's some slippage at times on the defensive boards. Not just him. I'm just saying the Knicks as a team. We've had some games where there's been slippage on the, teams are getting second and third opportunities at the basket. It hasn't happened a lot, but it's happened a few times. And Mitch and Randle are really our main guys when it comes to defensive rebound. Hart will give you rebounds. Don't get me wrong, but those are our main guys. And there's just been a few games where I felt like teams. I'm like, they just getting second and third opportunities. I hope Mitchell is not wearing down like so early in the season. Like he was really strong with the defensive rebounds in traffic to start the season. I'm not seeing a lot of that.
But
I
want to Geoff.
Mhm.
So Geoff, you'd rather him grab rebounds than score? I mean, a rebound give you another opportunity at scoring, and that's not guaranteed. But the score is guaranteed points. I mean, that's how you win the game, by putting up more points. I mean, I don't want to grab rebound and then we don't know what happened with the rebound after that. That's just another opportunity. But the point is the point. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but we have plenty of scorers on this team. I'd much rather see those shots going to Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle and guys who can do things with the ball when they catch it. I mean, part of the problem with Robinson is he doesn't catch the ball. I mean,
some of those passes, though.
Listen,
some of the passes aren't great, but I'm just saying if he, catch the ball, and that's step one if you're going to score points. But,
yeah, man. If
that's not his game, and to me, plug your guys into the roles that they're best at. And I think that the Knicks can win just as many games with him as 6 and 12 than they can with him at 10 and 10. I don't think those extra points from him are tip the balance of the scales one way or the other. I think that much more important from a scoring perspective to get guys like Grimes and Quickly and DiVincenzo and Hart going. And as the perimeter game, I think to me that's much more important as far as the point scoring perspective is, and that may not be right. Maybe if you get more points from Robinson, that opens things up. I have no idea, but just for me, I would rather see the scoring from our perimeter players and our guards and Mitch just lock it down on defense and get those rebounds and defensive boards too, not just the offensive on the
The
offensive.
defensive boards. Do you look at the splits, Geoff, after the game? Like when I'm looking at Mitchell Robinson's rebounds, I look at the offensive rebound. I'm like, all right. I'm like, yeah, I know you can do that, but we need some defensive some boards. So I do
not
look
only
at
do I look at it, not only do I look at it clean, if he doesn't have at least as many defensive boards as he does offensive boards, I consider it a negative game from him.
Okay.
That's what I want to see from him. That's just my personal thing from him. I want to see him be dominant on the defensive glass like he is on the offensive glass. Because I think that helps the Knicks and it's part of getting those extra possessions. To answer your question, Ajay, a little bit more, that is truly defense, is securing that defensive rebound. That's when you've got to stop. Right. That's when you know you have to stop. So be the guy who makes sure that we get the stop. You get that board in traffic. Let's get it going the other way. And one and done. If we can, the more one and dones that we can have for them, the better off we're going to be.
Yeah, those defense, like if Phoenix, when a team just shoot, get their own rebound, shoot, get another opportunity. No, our offense can't start until we secure that defensive, rebound. All right, let's talk about. We can't get out of here without talking about the man, in my opinion, that stirs the drink. All right, Jalen Brunson, last season, first season with the Knicks. 35 minutes, 24 points, 3.5 rebounds, 6.2 assists, shot 49.1% from the field, 41.6% from the three-point line, and 82.9% from the free throw line. This year, the minutes is actually 35.5. He's averaging 24.9 points, 3.7 rebounds, 5.7 assists. He's shooting 46.6% from the field, 45. I don't know if he's going to be able to keep 45 points. Like that's sniper numbers, 45.7% from three and 81.1% from the free throw line. Just your thoughts on Brunson this season. I know there's been complaints from the Knicks fans that he doesn't pass enough. And then after watching Haliburton before coming in, that he doesn't do a good job of getting other players involved. What's your thoughts on Brunson? Boogie, we'll start with you.
I can never be mad or upset with a guy that what he does, he's great at what he does. And what he's great at is having no fear of this game. You know, he has more heart for this game than what a lot of people thought he would bring to the city of New York. And he leaves it out there on the floor, you know, in his own ways. Yeah, I can't play defense. And I ain't all that fast. I ain't all that swift. I ain't all that quick. But my effort is going to always be there. And I'm going to do whatever it takes, you know, to help and try to guide this team. And that's what I love and appreciate Brunson more than anything. You know he's going to go all the way out. He's not going to never leave that floor, you know what I'm saying, with his shirt dry. He's going to get drenched the whole game. And he does what he does, and he does that good. Now, as far as him being assist guy and all that right there, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we'd like for him to have more assists because that's the label of the point guard. But there are more scoring point guards in this league than there are of guards that have assists in this league. You probably have like three guys at the most that really lead. And pretty much that's Haliburton and Trae Young. You know what I mean? But that's not what Brunson does. And then at times, who is he going to pass it to? But I love what Brunson is bringing to the table. That's our leader. That's our guy. Put the pieces around Brunson and stop wasting his time, man.
Okay, Ajay and then Geoff, or Geoff and then Ajay. It doesn't matter.
Go ahead, Ajay.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm okay with his numbers. You know, 25 points, 5.6 assists. Those are great numbers, man. And you can't do everything. And like I said, and I've said this a few times actually, the assist number it's like a half-assed stat because it doesn't tell the whole story. It doesn't, maybe he passes the ball and the next guy doesn't hit the shot. And if that doesn't happen, it doesn't count as an assist, right? So you can't really put that on him. Like, we watched the game, we see he passed the ball and the guys, they don't hit the shot all the time. Maybe whoever Tyrese Haliburton's passing the ball to, they hitting the shots. That's why he's averaging 12 assists a game or whatever he does, right?
But
because
they run, and so those guys are getting layups.
yeah, they getting layups, they getting easy dunks, they getting all kind of alley-oops and all kind of stuff. So you can't really, for the team we have, and listen, the guy, you shooting 45% from three, man. Listen, I don't want you to pass the ball, man. I want you to keep shooting that three, man. Okay, listen, mathematically, it makes sense that you keep shooting because you're going to score. You're more likely going to score than the guy you're passing to that's shooting 35%. So you shoot it. If you're a jam, if you double team, triple team, you're in a corner, shot clock running out, then you pass the ball. Otherwise, you shoot it.
Dang.
Listen, mathematically, it makes sense that he should, because he's our best shooter. Like, he averages more than anybody else, so he should take more shots. The other players get involved when they grab the rebound. He's not the one bringing the ball up the court all the time. So everybody gets involved. But you're the better shooter. You're higher usage. That's the name of the game.
Yeah, no doubt. Jeff?
So did you say that his minutes are actually up and that should be?
Yeah. That's wrong. I believe, if somebody checked me, I believe it's 35.5 minutes he's getting.
Okay. Because wow, that stat line's awful impressive. But Jalen Brunson's amazing. I love him. We've wanted a guard like him for so long. I kind of am guilty of the John Stockton, Magic Johnson era, where point guards were expected to more be facilitators of the offense. Nowadays it's a guard's game. It's not the same thing as like John Stockton averaged 11 assists a game because they gave the ball to Karl Malone in the post, play after play after play after play, and Malone was a walking bucket. We don't really have, that's not the NBA anymore. That's not the modern NBA. Most of the guys that you see who are the high assist guys like that are guys who are playing track meet kind of games where they, where they're getting a ton of, leak outs and easy dunks and, and not to diminish what Haliburton is doing is incredible. I don't want to diminish what he's doing, and I don't even like to really compare the players that much. They're in different situations, they're doing different things, they have different skill sets. So I don't know that that's necessarily fair to either player, but I love what Brunson brings to the table. I love his toughness. I think he's done a better job defensively for the most, not in the Milwaukee game, but for the most part this year. I think his process is better on defense. His effort is certainly up on defense, and you can tell that this is someone in the offseason that looked at his game and said, what areas can I improve on? And the defense was one. The catch and shoot threes was another area that he really look to improve, and not only did so he's so smart, not only did he look to improve in those areas, but he's showing that improvement, and to me he's an all-star. That's all. I'll end with that.
Hey, yo, I'm glad you said that, because let me put a little pressure on some people. If you appreciate and love what Brunson is doing for the New York Knicks, as far as his game speaking for itself, if you appreciate him like that, I'm talking about everybody. When that all-star ballot vote come open and you don't go press that button to vote for this guy this year, because we don't need the media, the ESPNs and all that NBA to get our guy in. This is the second coming of America. They call New York Little America. We got a lot of people in this city. Go push that button and vote that man in, or stop talking about him. Me and Ron, still Nick, we've been running this campaign, but make sure we get our guy in here this year. Because they snubbed him last year. That's because we allowed him to be snubbed. A lot of us talked about him and then pushed that button. Get that dude in there. Please.
Amen.
Right. Yeah, I'm good with Brunson. I think that there are times when, he can find Grimes more. He can find different players more than he does. But I think he understands that we're on a shooting deficient team. The Knicks are, I don't know where we are, 26, 27, 28, 29th in field goal percentage. And he has to carry more of the scoring load. He's not a pass first point guard. And on this particular team, with the pace that we play, if he became a pass first point guard, the Knicks wouldn't make the playoffs.
I agree.
Right? On this team, if he just decided, I'm not going to score, I'm just going to be a pass first point guard, and I'm going to get Brunson shot and Grimes shots and this player shot, the Knicks wouldn't even make the playoffs. On this particular team, this is what he needs to do. That being said, I do think that he could pick his spots more because, listen, Brunson can get his shot anytime he wants. So there's nothing wrong with saying, I'm going to get this guy off, giving him a few touches early because I know I can get my shots at any time. There's nothing wrong with that. But I do want to push back a little bit on, a lot of us as fans, we come to the NBA game with high school and college sensibilities. And this is just a different game. So this idea, if you're a point guard, you got to make your teammates. Who did Dame Lillard make better? Like we're asking Brunson to do things that these other score first point guards aren't doing either. Who is Fox making better? So let's stop. We have our opinion of how a point guard should play, but watch other teams. Look around the NBA. Other than Chris Paul, LaMelo Ball, Haliburton, how many pass first point guards are there? Right? And when you look at the shoot first point guards, how many of them make their teammates better? All right, fine. People want to talk about Trae Young. There's 30 teams in the NBA. So that means there's about 26 pass first point guards. Score first point guards. How many of them are making their teammates better? So let's stop. That's just not the way the NBA is right now. Bottom line. So give that up. You got to make your teammates better. Yeah, because that's what Fox is doing. The Fox ain't doing that. And I'm sure there's plenty of point guards that I haven't even named. So let's not expect Brunson to do what a lot of other point guards aren't doing. Play your game. And if the organization feels like, just like they did with Allen Iverson, if they feel like, you know what, this guy's a scorer, then bring in another guy and move him over. Right? But let's not get on our guy who showed up for us in the playoff and shows up for us most games, because in our mind, you're supposed to make your teammates better. That's what point guards do. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, nah.
Look around the NBA. Okay, and tell me how many.
To me, that
doing
that just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, if the best shooter on the team should take the most shots, it just so happens that it's the point guard, right? If the point guard, the guy shooting, what is he shooting? 45% or some crazy number from three?
45.7.
Man, listen, man. Every time you be on the arc, man, pop one up. This is he's our best chance. He has the higher probability of making the shot than anybody else, so he should take the shot.
Right. But we're not interested in winning. We're just interested in, we want to see 7 assists.
Yeah, but yeah, ball movement.
When you got Grimes shooting 34% and you got the Knicks are the 26th or something like that in field goal percentage, you know. But listen, like I said, I would like to see him pick his spots. He can get his shots anytime. You know, it doesn't hurt, you know, to come out in the game and like, I'm gonna get, you know, you ain't got to try to get Randle involved. You ain't got to try to get RJ involved. Maybe let me throw some lobs up here to Mitch. Let me get Grimes a few shots because I know I can get my shots at any time. I'll tell you this though. You ain't getting that many assists passing to Grimes right now. Right now. So I don't think his assist is going to go up. Okay. Yeah. Anything else?
Well, to your point, and you mentioned those, and how many of those pass first point guards are leading their teams deep in the playoffs? Atlanta had that one, you know, run with Trae Young, but they didn't win. Chris Paul has never won an NBA championship. So I don't think that having a pass first point guard is a prerequisite to having a championship contending team by any stretch of the imagination.
Right. No doubt. And keep
don't
in
forget
mind
those-
that
Don't forget those head-to-head matchups y'all talking about inside, you know, inside the chat. I'm reading them. I seen what he did to Trae Young and Murray twice. I seen what he did to Holiday, even though we ain't win the game. I see the matchups. I see what he doing to them guys who names y'all bringing up. That plays a part.
yeah, no doubt about it. And pace matters too.
Yeah.
The style of play that you play matters too. And I don't care if the Knicks are 28 in assists. Assists do not equate to winning. Look at the teams ranked 20th to 30th in assists. Now, it may have changed since the last time I looked at it. There were a few playoff teams that were ranked 20th to 30th in assists. If you have ball dominant players who can get their own shot, you might not be ranked high in assists. If you have a team full of players who can't get their own shots, you're going to have to pass it to them in order for them to get shots because they can't create, right? So assist doesn't equate to winning. Anyway, let's talk about quickly, real quick before we get out of here. I don't think we talked about quick. I think we talked about Randle, right?
No, we ain't talking about Drew. We ain't talking about Quick. I ain't gonna let you get away, Queen. This is my comeback party. We ain't talking about Kenny Smith. We ain't talking about what DeRozan say he want to get over here.
Yeah, no, and I have and then I have Kenny Smith. I have that quote as well.
Yeah.
All right, quickly, last year, 28.9 points a game, 15 points, 4.2 rebounds, 3.4 assists, shot 44.8% from the field, 37%, which I believe was on average for shooting guards last season, from 3, 81.9% from the free throw line. This season, less minutes, 24.2 minutes per game, 15 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, basically 42.8% from the field, 36.4% from 3, 89.1% from 3. And I believe he's getting to the line a bit more than last season. Thoughts on quickly? And let's hit that like. We got 143 in the building, 90 likes.
Oh my God. Yes.
Hit that like button. It definitely helps the channel.
Need 10 more.
I'm big on IQ. I know the numbers aren't like, I mean, the 3-point shooting percentage isn't, the shooting percentages aren't that great, except at the free throw line. But I really like Quickly. I like what he brings to the table, especially on the defensive end. You know, I think Quickly is terrific. And I feel like he's the guy who, if the Knicks are going to make any big advances with this group, I think it's because Quickly takes a step. Now, I don't think he's done that yet. He looks very similar to the player that we saw last year, but even the player that we saw last year was excellent
and I love lineups with Quickly and Brunson together. And so I think I like to see Quickly in the closing lineup. I'm big on Quickly, and I think he's done a decent job so far this year. Although, not necessarily as much as I would have expected maybe in a contract year.
Yeah. Any concerns about the Milwaukee game? On the heels of the playoff game last year.
Yeah, I think it's right to be a little bit concerned. I definitely want to see him step up on a big stage. So yeah, that is certainly that is certainly a concern. But he didn't play that many minutes against Milwaukee either. I think he only was on the court 18 or 19 minutes. Correct me if I'm wrong there. I don't think he
probably for a reason though. It wasn't foul trouble, right?
I don't remember him being in foul trouble, but maybe it's his lack of size. I know that can kind of be problematic in certain matchups. I don't know. I'm not real sure why his minutes were limited. He's a good player. He's not a great player. Let's be honest about who he is. He's a big part of when he's cooking though. When he's in his bag, when things are going well for Quickly, things are always going well for the Knicks.
Right. Yeah, I think we need him. Listen, like I said, we're not a top-heavy team. Brunson and Randle can't do it by themselves. Even Brunson, Randle, and RJ can't do it by themselves. We're going to need Quick. We need Josh Hart. We need all of our players on deck. That's the point of having depth, right? To be good in your role. And for Quickly, part of his role is scoring for us off the bench, being that scoring punch. And he wasn't that versus Milwaukee in a playoff-like game. You know what I mean? Just play your role. Ajay and then Boogie.
Listen, I have no problem with IQ. I'm fine where he is. Yeah, he's gonna have like one or two bad games here and there, but when he's on, he's on. I hope we resign. I hope we re-sign him, re-up his contract. Give him what he's looking for. Not going too crazy, but give him what he's worth. Based on what we gave RJ and what we gave Josh Hart, let's calculate.
But why though? Let me ask you this: he's asking for 20. Porto, he's asking for 25 million. The Knicks offers 18. He's asking for 25. If you don't show up in the playoffs, you don't show up in the in-season tournament. Though I don't know how much to put on the in-season tournament. What are you basing giving guys money on? Just playing in games against easy teams? Like you don't think when you perform should go into how much you get paid? I'm challenging you there. I'm not saying I agree.
Overall, I think you give him what he does overall, and not just a few. Listen, the playoffs. I know you put a lot of stocks in the playoffs, but the playoffs are not that many games, and we've had that discussion in the past. Like because last season RJ Barrett all of a sudden woke up and played well in the playoffs, and it was like, oh my God, RJ Barrett. But his season was horrible. So I don't think he should not get paid because he didn't show up in the playoffs last season. I think, we looking at him this year. Let's see what he does this year. If he has a great season this year and he doesn't show in the playoff, I'm paying him.
Wow.
Listen, we paying Julius Randle who doesn't show up in the playoffs.
But that's a mistake, and you can argue that. You can argue that that's a mistake. But let me just
no.
This is the point I'm trying to make.
That's not a mistake. The guy's been all NBA twice. That's not a mistake at all.
What you trying to do, Ajay? You trying to win a chip, or you just trying to get all-star trophies and all NBA trophies? Because this is the thing. If you start paying guys 25, 30 million for players who don't perform in the playoffs, you're not going to ever win a chip. Because all of your money is tied up in players who don't perform when they need to. This is chip talk. Now, if you're just talking about, not winning the chip, not winning the championship, just enjoying the games, playing people who perform over the course of a season, I understand exactly where you're coming from. But if you're talking about winning a chip, you cannot be doling out 25 and 30 million to people because they made an all-star team on all NBA team if you're trying to win a chip, because there's not going to be any money left to go out and get the guys you really need.
Well, I'm not putting a price tag. I'm not saying 25, 20. I'm just saying pay what he's worth. But that's besides the point. What's the alternative, Queen? Let him walk?
Yeah. Well, no. You sign him and trade him. You got to sign him, and you cannot, in my opinion, and everybody have their own opinion. You can disagree. In my opinion, you cannot afford to be just doling out money to guys who are not performing in the playoffs, and that includes Randle. So Randle has his contract is up in 2 years. He becomes a restricted free agent. He's all NBA. He's going to be able to get, I believe, maybe not a supermax. You got to be on the team that drafted you, right, to get a supermax. But anyway, he's going to be up for max money. You give him max money to Julius Randle. Let's just say he doesn't perform this year or next year. Let's just say you give him max money to Julius Randle because he made all-star and all NBA teams, and potentially there's 4 playoffs that he didn't perform in. You maxing him?
What's the alternative, though? Let him walk. I'm asking you a viable
alternative to me is to let him walk or to sign him for less than the max and to use that money for somebody else.
Okay, if he doesn't agree to sign for less than that? I mean, I don't understand.
You gotta let him go.
So you let him go. You let the good player go to start from scratch with somebody else. You have no idea because that guy. So you're gonna start with a guy who may not even perform well in the regular season, let alone the playoffs.
Well, I'm hoping that when
you're hoping,
you're hoping. Listen, I hear what you're saying, but this guy. So basically, you're going to max him out just so you can have good regular seasons.
No. So the guy who gives you good regular season is more likely to give you a better playoff run than the guy who can't even give you a good regular season.
I'm saying if he's had 4 playoffs in a row, where he hasn't shown up the way you needed him to, I'm not maxing him.
Okay.
Look at these teams who are maxing players who are stuck because they maxed out players who weren't max players.
Zach LaVine.
Who aren't max players. So now you're stuck. You can't do anything with your team because you maxed out a guy who's not a max player.
But we don't have to give him max though, but we could give him a nice payday.
Or he accept, we on the same page if he accepts that.
We're not talking
if he
max.
Doesn't,
But going back to the playoff thing, you could have a player who been to the play. Hey, Jimmy Butler been to the playoffs like 100 times before he started. Now all of a sudden he's playoff Jimmy. He's like top play. He's top playoff performer. Some guys take longer. And how much playoff experience does Julius Randle in the playoffs?
No, he's been in the league 10 years. He's been to the playoffs twice. I'm talking about if he has 2 more, that's 4. He's going to be in the league 14 years. So you're going to max out somebody and they've been in the league 14 years because you think he's going to take longer because he started getting to the playoffs late.
If it were up to me, I would max out anybody on that team except for Jalen Brunson. But what I'm saying is how many playoff games has these guys? How many playoff games have Emmanuel Quickly played? How many playoff games, how many playoff minutes these guys have under their belt?
Listen, I understand. But the salary cap is such. You rolling the dice. You got to be like, you betting. Basically what you're doing is you're betting. He's only had 12 playoff games. I'm going to max him out or I'm going to give him 25 million because I believe he's going to get better. You're betting. I mean, that's just my
right. So you bet with a guy at least have the talent. He has the skill set to play. He hasn't performed in the playoffs. Or do you bet on the guy who can't even play during the regular season?
But nobody is saying to go out there and sign Kelly Oubre and give him the max.
Well, you got to sign somebody.
You do have to sign somebody.
I'd rather sign the guy I know can play.
But you don't have to. But what I'm saying, Andrew, you don't have to give that guy a max, though.
No, you don't. I'm like I said.
No. I'm not saying if you decide you're not going to max out Randle, you could take that money and split it up on three different players where the money matches their talent.
Kelly Oubre and 2 more guys.
Well, we'll see, because that year the Knicks can actually reset. When Randle becomes a free agent, Brunson also becomes the Knicks can reset because they'll have the money to do so.
I personally don't think they're gonna re-sign Julius Randle, and I think they might trade him before that time.
They would have to. If you know you're not gonna max him out, you got to trade him instead of losing him for nothing. But anyway, that's just my opinion.
I don't think anybody's going to max Randle, though. I don't think you'll have to max Randle to keep him.
I don't think he's going to be looking for the max either.
He changed agents, though. So that CAA discount, he may not. We may not get that.
But I just don't think any team out there is going to offer Julius Randle a max contract, especially if he continues his playoff performances like he's at. Look, a lot of these lists they disrespect Juju all over the place. They're like, oh, he's not even a top 40 player and blah 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 and this and that. I'm not subscribing to any of that, by the way.
How is he not a top?
Twice,
how is he not? But being all NBA means you're a top 15 player. Like, how is he not a top 40 player? I don't get it.
I'm not saying I agree with that, but you can't tell me that it's not out there. You just go look at articles. You can find articles throughout the summer that say that. They come out with those lists all the time, and so whether it be his mentality or whatever you want to say about him, his flaws. We've talked about him ad nauseum. I don't need to go into. We all know about Julius Randle, and I think this panel is more pro Randle than some other places out there, but he's got to show improve, and if he struggles, there's not going to be a max contract out there for him. Now, if he plays well in the playoffs, then there might be, but if he plays well in the playoffs, then that's a guy you want to max anyway, right?
That's a guy you want to max anyway. Absolutely.
So,
yeah. Anybody else on quick?
You ain't got to worry about signing max or paying signing quickly or paying them, because you're gonna have to match it. You're gonna match it or you're gonna let him go, because one, you can't trade quickly, right? You can't trade him this season because the value is not there, because he's not making no money, so you're not gonna get him from. So he's betting on himself. So the betting on himself, other teams gonna offer him some money. And I'm gonna give you an example. I know somebody who's gonna offer him some money. His roommate. They need another sidekick to go along with Maxey. See, these guys, they know it. So either you're gonna match it or you're gonna let them walk. You know what I'm saying? It's one of the two. And if we match somebody giving him 22, 23, 24, 25 million per year, man, Lord. Quickly just got to show up in the playoffs. You get the same treatment right now as Julius. You got to show up in the playoffs, dude. You haven't showed up yet.
I mean, listen, if we gonna get rid of guys that don't show up in the playoffs, we just gonna be left with Jalen Brunson and everybody gonna go.
We're not talking about not showing up in the playoffs. We talking about when I'm talking about not showing up in the playoffs. I'm talking about the money that you're looking for. It doesn't equal out. You know what I'm saying? You want a certain amount of money and you're not showing up in the playoffs. You can't get that. You can't get it. Not now. And that's what I hope the organization is going to do. If you come back to these playoffs and you have a bum out, don't max them out. That go for anybody. You know what I'm saying? That go for IQ, Julius, anybody that's on our roster. Don't max them out. For what? Because you got us to the playoffs? That's all we want? 82 games, 41 games at home, 41 on the road, a couple of games in the playoffs, and they walk away and the season's over with a whole lot of money, and then we back all year, all season around talking about it? Nah. I give you guys all this money. and you ain't doing what you're supposed to be doing. That's why I say this in tournament was real crucial as far as what's leading up to the trade deadline. If you can't handle this and perform this, you sure not going in that real thing. That real thing, you're not going in there. And this dude didn't show up. He didn't show up. IQ was 1 for 7. 1 for 7. That's why his minutes was down. You bricking. We took twisters out. You got real braids. You wearing headbands and all that. You chilling. You was looking good. But when you got into this right here, all that go out the window, man. Go out the window, man. I'm getting ready to start being hard on the playoffs, on the players. I spend my hard-earned money, traveling and everything. You not doing what I'm doing. I'm gonna speak on it. I'm gonna let you know. I respect when you tell me you're gonna do something. You're gonna do it. You do it. You're handling your business. I see it. Yeah, I see it. And then when you're not handling your business, I'm gonna let you do it. Especially when I see your person, yo, dude, what's going on? So something else, you ain't doing that.
Let me shout out the chat. Justo11, appreciate the super chat. Appreciate you rocking with us. Sorry, I just feel we should have went for PG, Paul George, and gave up RJ. A guy that can get 25 daily, create plays, and solid defender. We waited too long for youth. I said this three years ago. We gotta hold on. We gotta see. I mean, nobody has a crystal ball, but I didn't think any of our guys was going to turn into stars. Obviously, you don't know, but I just didn't think it, and now it's bearing itself. Now it's bearing itself out. Margaret Edwards, appreciate you rocking with us. I would trade quickly. Nick Yak, who don't want the great quickly down the stretch at the deadline? I mean, I think people would want him, but you would have to put multiple contracts together because I think he's only playing 4 or getting paid 4 or 5 million.
It would be quickly and Fournier for sure together. I mean,
Okay.
that gets you to 22, 23 million. I'm not saying that that's like enough, but I'm saying that any quickly trade, if you're contemplating that, and I don't think that's something the Knicks are going to do until the offseason, if at all. But right. If you're contemplating an in-season quickly trade, Fournier is almost certainly a part of that package just because his salary is so large and it's expiring.
Right. Julius Caesar, this regime paid and extended RJ before he did anything at all in the playoffs. Yep. You're absolutely right. And I think maybe that had something to do with them stalling with quickly, saying, listen, we did this already.
That's right.
I agree.
Like, we're not going to do this anymore. We're going to have to start allowing these guys to go to restricted free agency so we can get a longer look. Maybe. Sharon, this is an old one from a previous segment. The Knicks can beat anyone if the ball is moved. You don't have to get an assist to move the ball. Brunson and IQ dribble with their heads down. Listen, Sharon, ball movement does not automatically lead to assists
or wins.
That's what I meant to say. Ball movement doesn't lead. Like we say that over and over and over again. We focus more on ball movement than we focus on the fact that the Knicks are one of the worst shooting teams in the entire NBA.
So we're the Knicks, not the Harlem Globetrotters, man.
But we talk
move the ball through the basket. That's the movement.
Yes,
yeah, that's the ball movement you need.
Right. Everybody is talking about ball movement, and I'm not against ball movement. I just feel like we're putting too much emphasis on ball movement. Just like if we move the ball, you automatically win the game. No.
Queen, notice how they say ball movement, not player movement. Player movement actually can help you win games more so than ball movement. Everybody's standing at the 3-point line, passing the ball back and forth until somebody steals it and go the other way. What's the point of that?
Sherwin, the Knicks get good shots. Ball movement is not the only way to get good shots. You get good shots with ball movement. You get good shots on driving kicks. You get good shots off of gravity and the double team of Randle. There are 3 ways for this particular Knick team to get good shots. And if you look, I haven't looked lately, but there's a stat in NBA.com where you can look up the percentage of open shots a team gets per game. I don't know where the Knicks are now. I haven't looked it up lately, but last year, the Knicks were number 1 in open shots. Number 1 in open shots. So let's stop focusing. Ball movement is great. I'm not against that. But I want us to start focus on the fact that the Knicks are a poor shooting team. With the open shots they get, however they're getting them, they're not shooting the ball well. We don't talk about that enough. Why did we lose to Miami? Not because of our defense, because we couldn't hit a shot. Miami was packed in the key. You could have passed that ball around like the Harlem Globetrotters. You was not going to get Miami to move out of the key because the Knicks couldn't hit a shot. That's what the Knicks need to do. Hit shots, whether it's off ball. Like I said, different ways to get an open look. Make the damn shot. That changes everything for the Knicks. And we don't talk about it enough. Oh, they need to move the ball. They need to move the ball. You know what I think it is? And I'm not saying this is you, Sharon, but this is what I think it is. And I've said this before. I think there's many Knicks fans that don't give a damn if the Knicks ever win a championship. I do. I think there's many Knicks fans who just want to be entertained by the Knicks. They want to turn on their TV and see a lot of ball movement because it is a better brand of basketball to watch.
It looks beautiful.
They want to turn on their TV, see the ball whip around, everybody get equal opportunity, even if we lose. You know what I mean? But it looked good, and they passed it around, and everybody got a shot. Nobody wants to turn on the TV and see Randle and Brunson taking all the shots. It's not pretty. It's not fun. And I think that's what it is. The Knicks won 47 games last year. Oh, but we're not moving the ball. The Knicks are 12-8. Oh, but we're not moving the ball. But we're not focusing on the wins, and we're not focusing on the shot making. That is going to kill us. Thank goodness we're at least hitting from 3 this season. I'm not saying it's you, Knicks. He said that's not fair. I'm not saying that's you. I'm just saying I believe there are some Knicks fans who, like for me, I need to win. Whether we win dirty or pretty, we need to win. I'm focused on shooting because that's going to hem us up in the playoffs. You know? Focus on ball movement. How many open shots we're getting off of driving kicks? How many open shots yes, make the extra pass. I'm not against that. But that's not why the Knicks are losing, are not where we want them to be. It's because they're not knocking down shots. That's the bottom line. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that's the best way. I'm saying you got to play to your player's strength. You're going to run an offense. You're going to be out there trying to be Golden State. You don't got Golden State players. All I'm saying is you have to play to your strengths, and I'm not against making the extra pass. Make the extra pass. It's not helping us. When we do make it, we're in the bottom of the league in shot making. Hit your shots, your open shots. All right. One more player we didn't talk about Randle, and then we can call it a night. We got to talk about Kenny Smith. All right. Randle.
What did Kenny Smith say?
We're gonna get into it. 35.5 minutes per game, 25 points, 10 rebounds, 4.1 assists, shot 46% from the field, basically 34.3% from 3, 75.7% last year. This year, 35 minutes. Maybe Brunson is averaging 30 minutes. And I got him and Randle mixed up.
Really impressive if that's the case. If he's putting up more points per game and fewer minutes like that, that's
Right.
super impressive. If that's the case, that is super impressive on Brunson's part.
Yeah, can somebody look that up? How many minutes is or somebody in the chat, how many minutes is Brunson averaging per game? But Randle's averaging 35 minutes. He's averaging 21.5 points, 10 rebounds, 5.5 assists. 40, but his shooting is not as good as it was last year. 43% from the field, 29.2% from the 3-point line, and 72.2% from the field. Talk to me a little bit about Julius Randle.
When you consider the first 10 games he had of the season, those numbers are looking mighty fine. I think he tried to fix all of his efficiency in one night against Milwaukee, boy. Whew. I really feel like he's turned the corner. I feel like he's doing a lot better. If he's gonna do 21, 10, and 5, man, I'll take it. I don't. The scoring is down a little bit. I'd like to see his 3-point percentage come up a little bit more. I don't know if it will or not. I don't think his volume from out there is as high, and I don't know if maybe that's affecting his percentage or not. I'd have to do a study on that. I don't know for one way or the other, but no, I like the way he's been playing over the last 10 games or so. You know, and you know, he's our problem child. He's an enigma, but we don't win them a lot of games without him. I know that. If we didn't have Julius Randle, we would be in big trouble. So I'm, you know, hopeful that the Julius we've been getting continues. And you know what? If it really was his ankle was still recovering and now he's back in the flow, that kind of, I know that's a narrative, but it kind of makes the facts are kind of backing up that narrative at this point. Now, if he goes the next week and he starts another prolonged slump, then we can kind of throw that out the window. But if he keeps on this upward trajectory, then I think you can really say that he was still getting back into game shape from the surgery, and which is completely understandable for any athlete, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with Geoff. I mean, so basically, the Julius Randle. So what we're looking at is worst case scenario. It could only go up from here, right? Because he started really, really slow, and he's getting into shape. He's getting better. So, you know, a matter of fact, if he keeps going like he's been going the last 5 or 7 games, he's gonna do better than he did last season. So I'm looking forward to that. If that's what he's doing, then I'm all for it. I have no problem with Juju at all. I mean, you know, he could clean up the turnovers a little bit, but otherwise, and you know, and don't fall asleep on defense every now and then. But yeah, I mean, he's getting up there. He's getting up to his all NBA Julius form.
Jay Boogie?
He doing what he's supposed to be doing. He doing what he need to be doing. Point blank. You know, he talked about it on the Paul George. You know, this off season, I'm not going to be able to do a lot of things because of my injury. I'm going to be able to sit and watch, and I'm going to have to learn and do different things differently how I normally do it. So, with all that being said, you know, it takes time to get yourself in game shape. It takes time to get yourself in rhythm and all that stuff. And at the beginning of the season, I knew and understood that, but I was hoping that that's really what it was, and he was going to change over, you know. And since the second game in Atlanta, he's been on a tear, and he's been getting back into form, and it's showing up. And Julius is out there pretty much trying to do everything. He tries. Julius plays a lot around triple doubles now. He plays a lot. He's looking for guys. He's passing the ball. He's trying to get people involved. He doing everything what he had to do. And then for him to come into that game against Milwaukee after having that first bad game against Greek and coming back and doing that, that gave the ones that was ready to jump on his neck. You know what I'm saying? Because trust and believe, a lot of people are looking for Julius to have a bad game just so they can talk bad about it. But guess what? He had that type game that you got to be like, okay, if he gives us that in the playoffs, then we got a solid 2 or 3. You know what I'm saying? Him and Brunson can swap out 2 or 3, but we still need that number 1. We still need that. I don't care if Brunson is here and what Julius is doing. If Julius is going to do what he's doing and Brunson is going to do what he's doing, then we still can get a number 1. We got a solid 3. So I love where Julius is at right now. You know, he's in game shape and it's showing on the court, and he's doing what he got to do. And it's looking like he's on his way to another All-Star. That's what it looked like. We continue on doing this right here, doing what he's doing. I just hope little tiny Archibald, the Braves go with him. But I like what Julius is doing right now.
Yeah, me too. He got off to a rough start. And another thing I like, and I mentioned this also, is, you know, I was like, he's not playing with the energy he used to play with, but he's still making it happen. You know, and I think, you know, maybe he's making a concerted effort to like keep the energy down and still perform, you know, because that's what's been happening. I used to think like he had to be on edge. If he's not on edge, we don't get the you know, the Julius that we need. But he really hasn't been playing on edge emotionally, and he's still coming through for us. And like we talked about earlier, that game against Milwaukee, in my opinion, offensively was a masterpiece. Just in terms of how he got into his movements, wasn't a lot of over dribbling, just whip, whip, whack, you know? So I really liked the way he played. Wasn't intimidated by Giannis at all. With Giannis' length, he just went to the fadeaway and the stroke was on. So I don't have any pride. He's you know, he's passing the ball. You know, he always passes. You know, he always passes the ball. I know some people will say he'll wait till 2 seconds in the clock and then he'll pass it, so that y'all giving him too much credit. But I like the way Juju is playing. We just need, you know, him and Brunson. For this team to be successful, both of those guys have to be on point. You want to say something, Ajay?
No, I want to say shout out to Knicks 100 GM. He's done with Randle. He can't stand Randle, but he's all in for Grimes. You know, it's like what games are these guys watching? Give me a break. Grimes over there ain't doing nothing. Julius Randle out there balling, giving you 20 plus points, you know, 10 rebounds. The other day he had a 20 rebound games, but you done with him. Next.
I think that sometimes he sloughs on defense sometimes, and there's times when somebody is coming downhill and he's right there and he'll just get out the way.
Listen, right now, the way these guys are playing right now, I'll take Randle 100 times over Quentin Grimes. Who's playing great defense but can't give you a point. Let's go. Kenny Smith.
Right. Let me just get to the super chat.
Oh, yeah.
Justo 11. I hope I got that right. I appreciate the super chat. Brunson is like Kyrie. We need our 6'9" LeBron. Yeah, if we can get somebody, a DeJounte Murray next to Brunson, a SGA next to Brunson, some type of tool where those guys can interchange between who's bringing the ball, who's playing on or off the ball. That's what we would need. And somebody who could play defense, of course. Sangford 929, appreciate you. I appreciate your insights and efforts. Salute Cream, appreciate you. Like C-Mac, y'all don't want to move the ball, but y'all still losing playing ISO. First of all, we're not losing. We won 47 games last year. We lost in the second round of the playoffs. And moving the ball around, if you don't got guys who can knock down shots, it's not guaranteeing that you're going to get to the Eastern Conference game finals. You don't get points for moving the ball. This is not gymnastics. Okay? I'm not, and it's coming across as if I don't want to move the ball. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying as a fan base, we're focusing on ball movement more than we're focusing on the fact that the Knicks aren't hitting the open shots they do get. And I don't want to hear, oh, because they're getting these hard contested shots. And if we just move the ball around, they would get open shots. If that was the case, I would be right with you. The reason the Knicks are shooting poorly is because they're getting contested shots. And we need to move the ball around more so that they can get more open shots. But the Knicks are getting open shots. They're getting open shots. So I don't have a problem with ball movement. I'm just saying the number one issue with our offense is not ball movement. It's the fact that we're not hitting. That's my only point. Move the ball. I love it. Make the extra pass. I'm all for it. Get that defense shifting. You know, get these guys involved because they're touching the ball. And, you know, we human. You get energized because I understand all of it. And I'm here for all of it. All I'm saying is we talk about that much more than we talk about the fact that the Knicks can't hit a damn shot. An open shot. That's all I'm saying. Hit the shots that you get. They're open. And I just don't think we have that team. We got it. We have to get players on this team that can knock down open shots. There's no reason to be bottom 5 in field goal percentage. Come on. Come on.
And when you're on the wing to get the ball for an open shot and it doesn't come to you, cut. You know what? Dante is our best cutter on the team. Watch how Dante cuts and runs and beautiful. We don't have cutters. So, you know, how you moving the ball, you don't have guys that cut. I mean, flash hard. I watched the Indiana game tonight, and they said the guy Jackson, somebody on their team knocked down the tray, and the announcer said he didn't knock down the tray. Jackson knocked down the tray for him because he dove and made a hard cut to the basket, even though he didn't get the ball. It's the way you cut. And we don't have cutters on this team. So, yeah, it's more than just ball movement. It's a whole lot of different things. But, hey, we put up 120-something points against Milwaukee. So it ain't like we can't score.
Right. Yeah. No doubt. Shout out to Wiz. Appreciate you.
What up, Chef?
Yeah, I'm not trying to be right. I'm just trying to be heard. That's all. As far as that's concerned. Let's get to this and then we can get out of here. But I don't know. This might shots fired at Brunson and Randle, or maybe shots fired at the front office. This is Kenny Smith for TNT. Every game that they play, they always have the second best player. You play Boston, you got the second or third best player. You play Orlando with Banchero. They don't have a player that's better than Banchero. Milwaukee, we know they don't. Philadelphia, they don't. The Indiana Pacers, Tyrese Haliburton is the best player. If you play the Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler is the best player on the floor. If you play the Cleveland Cavaliers, you have Donovan Mitchell. So, I mean, you could say the shots shots fired at Randle and Brunson. You can also say shots fired at the front office. I agree with the sentiment of what he's trying to say, that the Knicks need better players. I don't agree that every player he mentioned is better than Brunson or Randle, but I agree with the sentiment. Your thoughts on it? Ajay, I know this is your first time. You need some time to stew on it.
No, he's not totally wrong though.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh yeah, I mean we know that. I mean we've said many times that we need to go get a number one. You know, he's just saying we don't have a number one. That's basically what he's saying, I think. And that's not, like you said, not the players he mentioned. Maybe he's not, he didn't think about it. Like he's not right about what he's meant, but he's not wrong. I mean, he's not right about the players he mentioned,
Right.
by name.
Right.
But what he's saying is not that he's basically saying we don't have a number one, and that's true. We don't have a number one. Which, you could make a case that Jalen Brunson is a number one. I don't know. Some people would say no. So that depends. But he's not wrong. He's not totally wrong.
Right. Boogie and then Geoff, or Geoff and then Bud, don't matter.
I'm trying to think about it really. To me, I think he's taking more shots at the office. He's telling them, yo, you need to go get you one. You was brought here to get you one, and you have not done that. Until you go get them, your job that you're doing is not going to be, you know what I'm saying, it's not going to be completed. And but I only think it's only two guards that's really had like a better season so far, and that's Maxey and Haliburton. And I think Maxey drift a little bit too, over his last couple of games. You know what I'm saying? I seen Brunson. What he get Dane the last time? 45, something like that. I seen him kill Holiday. I seen him kill Trey, and I seen him switching off several times, telling him to bring him here and all that. And Trey was trying to run from him. Yeah, I don't want no parts of that. But we need a dominant player on this team, and it would make them better. But far as on a night-to-night situation, there's times that I don't see Randle or Brunson, or if not, I ain't gonna say both of them. There's times where I seen Randle or I seen Brunson better than a lot of them guys they played against, far as number-wise. Say as far as but that big name situation, we just need that number one. And for one of them to be the number two or alter it, the three, you know what I'm saying? That would be great. But, it's hard to compare to what they got in Boston. It's hard to compare to what they got over there in Milwaukee. You know what I'm saying? Because of Embiid a little bit, because of MVP and a little bit, they just barely really nudging them out. I think because it's Embiid and Maxey. And Maxey has not even done what Brunson has done in the playoffs. But, that's Ken Smith. He got a voice to say what he want to say, but I think he was really more talking to the office, in a more respectful way. But he was trying to put it on the players,
right?
Hiding behind the doors instead of just saying straight out. Leon needs to go get us a ball player. Leon, that's the only thing we missing in New York is a marquee player. Stop holding on to these draft picks and all these other guys that you keep trying to develop and hope they're going to come along, and go get that number one. That's all he had to say instead of beating around the bush. Stop playing with it, Kenny.
Right. And he's a Knicks fan. He's a Knicks fan.
He's in New York. He's in New York. Trust them guys, they want to see New York, be where it's supposed to be at. I get it. But, sometimes they try to take slight little shots. When you don't have to take a shot, say what's really on your mind, dude.
Right.
I mean, right. Talk to the man. Call him. You got his number. Get at him.
Yeah. Geoff?
I don't put a ton of stock in what Kenny Smith says. I don't really get that comment at all. I mean, Paolo Banchero's a second-year player. What has he done? I mean, Orlando's off to a nice start, but you're really wanting to tell me that? And I love Paolo Banchero. I'm in his fan club. I think he's going to be a tremendous player, but you can't put what Paolo's done thus far in his career and say, how many All-NBA teams has he made? How many All-Star teams has he made? He's not on the level of Julius Randle yet. How many times are we going to talk about Donovan Mitchell as a star and ignore the fact that Jalen Brunson stomped him in the playoffs twice now? I give Brunson a little bit of credit. Tyrese Haliburton's having an amazing season, but it's 20 games. He hasn't won a playoff game yet. He hasn't won a playoff series yet. So, let's kind of pump the brakes on that. If you want to say, well, we don't have the players that Boston and Milwaukee do, okay. That's true for 13 other teams in the Eastern Conference, right? I mean, I just the absurdity of his statement is just kind of like it's really lazy analysis on his part. And Kenny can be really good sometimes, especially on the in-game stuff. As somebody who played point guard and was on a championship team, there's a lot of times that I feel like he's on point. But with this is, you know, TNT's coverage of the Knicks is awful. I mean, I don't think they really watch the games. If that's all you know about Jalen Brunson, and you honestly can look at me and tell me that Mitchell in Cleveland has done a superior job to what Jalen has done on the Knicks, I'm done with you. I don't need to hear your analysis, because I don't think there's anything factual about it. But you know, so from that standpoint, you know, does he have a point? Could the Knicks use a number one star? Of course, but I mean, you know, he acts like they grow on trees and like every other franchise is getting them. Like, yeah, we need a number one player, but they're hard to come by. And so really the number one player and the number two player that we have on pretty good contracts, and we're not paying them like they're superstar players, and we get superstar production from them a lot of the time. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. I mean, you're going to tell me that Kenny watched that game last night and he didn't think that Julius Randle was a star? Then what were you watching? I mean, you can make the argument that he played just as well as Giannis, if not better. I mean, so, you know, on that court, on that night, was he a better player on the floor? I think you can make the case for that. I'm not going to go there because, you know, Antetokounmpo is a better defensive player, but Randle didn't play poorly. Randle held his own. You know, Brunson didn't have that great a game. I'll agree with you there, but you know that, you know, again, that happens too. But I mean, the guy's putting up huge numbers, and the team is winning. I mean, I don't, you know, I just don't understand how they look at this team. I mean, you know, and again, all respect to Banchero. I think he's going to be an amazing player. I love his game. I think he's going to be terrific. The same thing with Tyrese Haliburton. But to just go ahead and put these guys on a small sample size and put them ahead of guys like Brunson and Randle, who have led a team to the playoffs, who have won a round in the playoffs, is disingenuous, in my opinion. And so I'll get down off my soapbox now, but stuff like that runs me crazy when the national media just, I mean, I was watching it on the game on Max the other day because I don't like to listen to the TNT announcers, and they had this betting show that Chandler Parsons and two other clowns, I don't know what their names are, they're on there and they do like prop bets and they, you know, the whole gambling thing. But not that I gamble, but I was listening to them and I was like, you know, they were talking about the Knicks just don't have any 3-point shooting. I was like, we're actually one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the NBA right now. And so to me, that it's lazy analysis. They fall into these narratives. They don't follow or understand the team, and it's why I stopped watching them and listening to them. It's why I go here and to NBK and to KFS and all these other Knicks sources of the people who actually study the Knicks and watch them religiously and are watching every game and are watching each player in every game and seeing what they're contributing and analyzing that. That's not the analysis you're getting on the national stage. They watch the only Knick games they watch, I'm convinced, are the ones that they call and cover, because Kenny Smith, that's just an atrocious take by him.
They just want to watch their buddies and talk about their friends. You can't look over the fact that this man knocked off Utah, Donovan, then next round went and knocked off Phoenix and Chris Paul and Booker and went to the Western Conference Final, left from over there, came over here and went straight to the second round.
And outplayed everybody on Miami, including Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, what are they talking about, man?
Yeah, and all of that being said, I don't think right now, Brunson is a number one on a championship contending team. So I agree with his sentiment that the Knicks need more players. So I agree with that. So yeah, I mean, if you pick out the individual players, you probably have problems with it. But to your point, Geoff, I feel the same way. I feel like you could be more talented than a player. You can have a better skill set than a player, but I'm always going to go with the player who may be less talented, like a Brunson, but they rocked out in the playoffs.
Baller.
To me, because I'm about winning that chip. I listen. I'll say in a minute, Haliburton is more talented than Brunson. He has a better he has a better skill set than Brunson. You could say. I'm not going to argue that, but it's hard for me to just focus on talent and skill set with guys who have never been to the playoffs, who've never been under that pressure cooker and have performed there. And after I watched Brunson put this team on his back, so I'm not denying any of those guys their talent. I'm not denying any of those guys their skill set. But for me, I'm definitely attracted to guys who get it done in the playoffs. You can argue that Ron Harper, you not even argue. Ron Harper had a better skill set than Larry Bird. You can argue. Sorry, Geoff, using the Larry Bird.
That's all right.
But he wasn't no better player than Larry Bird, because Larry Bird, even if he only had one move, you know what I mean? There was nothing you could do with Larry Bird in the playoffs, period, point blank. So I don't want to hear this guy's a better defender than Larry Bird. This guy's a better passer than Larry Bird. This guy is more athletic than Larry Bird. Head to head in the playoffs, or you put their career playoffs up against each other, it doesn't even compare. So that's just me. I know we're all different, but I'm for the guys that get it done when the lights are the brightest. That's where those are the players that I want on the team, on my team. And Haliburton will get there, no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind, he'll get there. But that's just me.
You're not there yet, though.
Greg, I'm with you. Oh my God. My goodness. All right. Any last words?
Jay Boogie, it's great to have you back in the house, brother. We've missed you. Rest in peace to your brother. Rest in peace to Rising Power. We're praying for you. We love you, man, and much love. I know that's difficult, especially around the holidays, especially when you're so close to your brother. Like I don't know how I would deal with that. So I know you're going through a lot, my brother, and we're here for you, and we appreciate you. And Ajay, it's good to have you back also, my friend. And Queen, you best host in the business. We love the content that you bring. You always have the best questions, and you bring a lot to the table to set it up. So we just have to knock it down. So that's pretty impressive stuff. So thank you very much.
I appreciate. Ajay, you want to say anything?
No, I was just tell people hit that like button on the way out, man. And we see you next time. Shout out to the chat, man. It was on fire, straight fire as usual.
Yeah,
you got the guys to keep the chat going.
Al
Wise, Nick 100 GM, Greg, Nick Yak, Quiet Money, Julius Caesar, Apollo Williams, like a ton of guys who are always here, man. Shout out to you guys. D Cooler 718. Knicks are nice. I might have said that. I don't know who else you want to shout out. Queen. There's a bunch of like very loyal.
Yeah, Sharon, JJ, Nick Yak, you might have said already. Tim Smith popped in. Paris, Mike Boy, Knicks 100 at GM. Almighty Finesse. I appreciate Margaret Edwards. Appreciate you. Yeah.
B-Baller for Life. Corey Lee.
Yeah.
Very active.
Yeah. And don't leave. Remember, we gotta play Boogie's single out of here. But I just wanted to actually add this for those that don't know. I got my podcast, the Just Knickin' It podcast. So I don't do the morning shows this every morning. So just a lot going on, but it's calmed down a little bit where I can at least do a podcast, and I'm trying to do it after every Knicks game on your lunch break. So between 12 and 2, it'll drop the morning after or the afternoon after the Knicks play. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast from, you'll be able to get it. I actually did one on the Milwaukee game. 23 minutes, about 23 to 25 minutes. Not, when I'm doing the morning show, I got the slides, I got the chat. It goes much longer. But on the podcast, it's just me. So we're talking about 25 minutes. So that's a great way to support the channel. I'm trying to get 1,000 downloads a month. That's what I'm trying to do. So download that every day after the Knicks play, and put your notifications on. So because sometimes I might, just drop a regular, audio podcast, and then you'll be able to get the notification. All right, stay tuned. Boogie got some
Let's go.
Some tunes for us.
Are the Knicks gonna make a trade?
You say that like you got a podcast or something. I don't know, baby, but if they do, it's gonna be breaking news. It's a beautiful feeling, but I don't know if you got the same feeling like me. I know they don't want to see us make a move, but this is a chess move, and I'm calling it a checkmate. I said I'm calling this a checkmate. This is the remix. Get 'em. Somebody tell me beg, I need breaking news. Somebody tell Dexter Henry, I need breaking news. Somebody tell Bill Pito, I need breaking news. Soon as it break, I'm breaking off with breaking news. Somebody tell Alan Hahn, I need breaking news. Somebody tell Ali Zerb, I need breaking news. Somebody tell Monica McNutt, I need breaking news. Soon as it break, I'm breaking off with breaking news. They keep telling me Boogie just remain calm. I need MSGS and Y after the Woj bomb. You heard it, I need MSGS and Y to break it down and pass it off to the podcast so we can chop it up in the street. They keep telling me Boogie just remain calm. I need MSGS and Y after the Woj bomb. The next trade, Leon bring us that superstar to go at this Captain Clutch in his prime point guard. All I see right now, orange and blue skies. The beat knocking them tremble with a little highs. I thought I told you already, yeah, the city lit. I'm out the window, the streets look like a movie script. Around me, I'm secured, bunch of Knicks fans. Shout out to Liv, they playing over in Brooklyn. I feel like Lionel when he left from the Commodores. The fade side, Joe Clark got them chain doors. I know you feeling like really, yeah, the truth hurts. Across the street, MSG, that's the network. I'm like Miss Fatton and Whitehead, ain't no stopping. The game on, tell them that you Nick watching. Somebody tell me beg, I need breaking news. Somebody tell Dexter Henry, I need breaking news. Somebody tell Bill Pito, I need breaking news. Soon as it break, I'm breaking off with breaking news. Somebody tell Alan Hahn, I need breaking news. Somebody tell Ali Zerb, I need breaking news. Somebody tell Monica McNutt, I need breaking news. Soon as it break, I'm breaking off with breaking news. The playoffs come this year, we showing no fear. Signal the mouth, the Brunson burner, this the new gear. That new wave, but they say we ain't cool no more. Katie just joined his third team, but that ain't cool no more. New York City, we ain't back, we ain't never left. Just stay away from Jay Reed when he ain't on my F's. I'm so impressed way we doing our thing. Outside in every gym, kids playing with that Spalding. The best column so far that's on a Knick page. Came from 21 down, that's on a Knick page. How you leave from your floor seat and think we lose? When we don't care about Riley with the shiny shoes. That orange blue right now, such a pretty view. You look around, we taking over the YouTube. That Nick love, we the best on the podcast. Monopoly money, 200 every time we go past. Somebody tell me, beg, I need breaking news. Somebody tell Jackson Henry, I need breaking news. Somebody tell Bill Pito, I need breaking news. Soon as it break, I'm breaking off with breaking news. Somebody tell Alan Hahn, I need breaking news. Somebody tell Ali Zerb, I need breaking news. Somebody tell Mike McNutt, I need breaking news. Soon as it break, I'm breaking off with breaking news. I hope you feeling like I'm feeling, cause I'm feeling like something is about to happen. And when it do, we all gonna celebrate it. We gonna break news all over the place, from MSG to networks, to SNY, to all the podcasters. If you down with us, then be down. If not, you gonna get remixed. This is the remix.
That was fire.
Yay!
Yeah, appreciate you, Jay Boogie. And like he said, sorry. Like he said, it's on all the streaming platforms, right?
Yep, and that's my little baby. She's a Knick. She's in my whole family. We Knicks too. You know, you'll see us. You see us at the game. We go out. I always highlight them. But yeah, man, it's on all platforms. And be prepared. January, I'm dropping the whole thing. I could drop it right now, but I'm gonna hold up. We're gonna get out of 23 and get to 24 and start off something new and different. But yeah, breaking news. We all need. I should have done that for the Yankees. Good God Almighty, Leon, you see what they did over there? They went and got somebody, boy. Soto. Shout out to the Pinstripes, man, for real. Woo-wee.
Hopefully, we next. We shall see. Until next time, family. Peace.